Welcome to America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2. Good to have you with us. We'll have live coverage from Tampa Bay Downs with Acacia Clement live on site, braving the wind. And bonus coverage from Turf Paradise. Very special guest, former Super Bowl winning quarterback Jim McMahon joining us later in the program. Greg Wolf, New York Racing Association handicapper, Andy Serling, champion jockey Richard Migliore. Good to see you both as we have a terrific card today at Tampa.
Yeah, no, looking forward to a couple of stakes there. An interesting maiden race in the 6th. And I don't know about you guys, I'm glad to just get out of the house and see a little racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our heart goes out to our colleague Acacia Clement. She had to brave the wind in the 50 degrees at Tampa compared to what we're dealing with here in New York.
My sympathies are not as strong as they could be.
We'll get to Acacia in just a little bit. Yeah, it's been rough with all the snow here in New York. As we get to Tampa, race 4, 6 furlongs, $8,000 claiming race, non-winners of 3 lifetime, and the favorite Pedro Nunez, the 8 at 4 to 5. Let's check in live with Acacia right now.
And I knew that I was going to get some grief, and rightfully so from you guys, as there is a weather advisory here in Florida. But yes, it is about 50 degrees. There is a strong wind, as is typical coming off Tampa Bay. Having just walked up and down along the track here, they are going to have it at their backs in the stretch, and maybe a little bit more of a headwind down the backside. So just something to keep in mind here. But overall, definitely nicer than what you all are experiencing in New York. Here in this 4th race, I found it very hard to get around the favorite. Pedro Nunez looks best on paper, looks best in the flesh in all of the preliminaries here as well. Very well muscled, don't mind him at all going back to the dirt. Didn't switch leads last time, so hopefully that is something that David Egan will be able to do, though he asked him a couple times last time out. The number 6, God With Us, does have some speed. I thought ran okay last time out against a bit tougher, so gets a drop in class here from the 16 non-winners of 3 condition, and was part of several horses on the front end last time out in a contested pace. I expect him to run better today, and a big price, 53 to 1 on the 9, Juan Colorado. Definitely, I wouldn't say necessarily a win candidate, but perhaps underneath. This horse hasn't sprinted on the dirt in a long time, and last time he did so was against far tougher. I think these are the conditions that he does prefer, but again, the favorites will be tough to get around in here, Greg.
All right, Acacia, just about loaded. Let's send it out to Jason Beam for our first live action of the afternoon, race 4 from Tampa.
They're in the gate. And the race is on. Papa Cat's away a half step slow. God With Us got away well and quickly opens up a length and a half on Hendrickson. Awesome Fantasy moving toward the inside with Super Tiz advancing up the rail. Between horses there comes the favorite Pedro Nunez. Harper's a Fleet's right there in that 3rd flight as well. Swan is up from the far outside, running along now 7th. After that, Juan Colorado is 8th. Federal Exchange is 9th. A length and a half more to Devilish Desire 10th. Then a gap of 4 back to the pair at the back. Awesome Entry and Papa Cats. Up front, though, it's God With Us through an opening quarter, 22.61 into the wind as they have 3/8 of a mile left to go. It's God With Us a length and a half to Hendrickson, Pedro Nunez, and Swen. They're moving as a team 3rd and 4th. Swen going a little better than Pedro Nunez right now, who's in a bit of a tight spot, is the favorite. It's a length and a half more back to Awesome Fantasy, who's 5th. White and red silk screen cap. God With Us, and here's Swen on the outside. These two the leaders to the top of the stretch. Pedro Nunez going to swing 3 wide to try to come after them from 3rd. Fading back is Hendrickson, left back in 4th. Down the far outside, Awesome Fantasy. Putting in a bit of a bid from the back is Harper's a Fleet. As up front, it's Swen and Sarah Hess taking him to the 16th pole. Swen opens up 3.5 or 4. Harper's a Fleet coming up the inside, going to try to get into 2nd, but it's Swen who has first locked up. Swen wins it by 3 in the end. Harper's a Fleet scraped the paint to get up for 2nd. Then came the favorite Pedro Nunez. 4th was God With Us.
Swen goes off at 5 to 1 with the upset. Sarah Hess aboard for Dennis Ward.
I mean, if you thought the 8 was vulnerable, the 6 and the 11 were the other 2 horses in the race, and were both reasonably generous prices at 5 to 1. Richie, there was really no point in this race where the favorite looked like he was winning.
No, not at all. And this horse made a wide, extended run around the turn and just continued as much the best by Buchero, who's standing now up in near Saratoga at the old Stonebridge farm, GMP farm. Actually.
He's moved around a lot.
Yeah, I like him in New York, and he's been very successful with synthetic runners as well, which is a new era going to dawn before too long here.
Sire of one of our favorite horses, Bookham Dano.
Indeed.
Champion.
That's right.
Eclipse Award winner, Pride of New Jersey. We're going to get to see more of in 2026. Get signed up, play all the action on our program this afternoon right there at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime they offer. There it is, $200 deposit match new customer bonus with that code. It's sign up for new members, bonus 200. Punch that in, and you're good to go at NairaBets.com. Let's see what's ahead. Presented by Claiborne Farm as we're just underway here on our Saturday coverage. Stakes action begins with that Tampa Bay Stakes. Win for the money. We'll be back in action. Former Group 1 winner of the Woodbine Mile. And Fillies and Mares get their turn to close out the card in the Endeavour Stakes.
You know, the Endeavour is a more competitive race. I mean, it feels a little top-heavy in the Tampa, the horse you mentioned, as well as the very speedy Quattrocento, who seem pretty tough. But they're strong runnings. And the other races, a lot of good horses in there.
Yeah, we also get to see the return of Disruptor, who was last seen in the Florida Derby.
I've been wondering, you know, when I saw him in there, why I've been having trouble sleeping, and it was waiting for Disruptor, turning back.
I'm excited to see him back. Ran huge in his second
He
start.
did, and the horse outside of him ran a huge race, breaking his maiden, first time out of Tampa as well.
Here is the Tampa Bay Stakes. Grade 3, race 7 on the card, mile and a 16th on the turf. Win for the money. We mentioned part of that resume, former Group 1 winner of the Woodbine Miles, won over $980,000 in his career.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a very solid runner. I think, you know, he's not badly compromised either by the speed of Quattrocento because he feels like he could be sitting a stalking second in here. My question is he tailed off a little bit, but he's going out for a barn that has just been winning, like, in abundance everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, a huge percentage for the Marcassi barn, obviously at
Oakland and Gulfstream.
Everywhere. The barn's hitting on all cylinders. And he does have the luxury of being able to kind of follow the 3 Quattrocento because of the draw. He's just well placed.
And they're clearly the two main horses in this race.
We're going to bring in Jonathan Kinchin right now for the first time on our coverage this afternoon. And JK's going to talk to us about Tom's Magic. He's going to be making JK's 4-year-old debut coming up.
I think that's the key part of it there, Wolfie, his 4-year-old debut, right? I think that if you look through his past performances, Tom's Magic's best races have likely been a little bit longer, right? His Hollywood Derby at 9 furlongs, the attempt going 12, the King's Plate trying to go 10. This feels like a starting point. If the Hollywood Derby was the end of 2025 for him and kind of the wrap-up, it feels like this race is a great place to kind of get him started again. I feel like his better races are going to be a little bit longer. Now, look, he's a good horse, a classy horse. Am I going to be shocked if he wins? No. I just don't quite trust the intent of the connections for this to be his best performance of the year. It feels, like I said, like a starting point. I think Quattrocento makes a little bit more sense in here. He's actually one of my Naira Bets best bets of the day I gave out on social media, so I'm not doing a good job with TV. I'm supposed to tell you that later when the race goes off, but what the heck. I think Tom's Magic is in here as a starting point. I think Quattrocento is in here to run his best race.
Real quick, and we'll get you back to it in a moment. Race 4, there is an objection. It does involve your winner, 11-7-8-6. Third place finisher has lodged an objection against your unofficial winner, Swen.
As we look at the morning line of Tampa Bay Stakes, I find it very hard to believe that Tom's Magic and Quattrocento will be similar prices. Quattrocento feels like he is significantly more likely, and a lot of people will see that Tom's Magic finished out of Tescore, who won the Pegasus Turf last week. Well, he did that because Tescore was completely blocked during the entire run, basically down the stretch. From not blocked, but so much as not able to get out and make his clean run.
Yeah, and I think it's a fair assessment of that race. The only thing you can say is he's a 3-year-old turning 4. Maybe he's maturing. He can improve. There could be a forward move.
I agree. No, he has more upside than the others, but he'll need to have some to beat these horses.
That objection over, by the way. Race has gone official. With more on this Tampa Bay, our reigning Eclipse Award-winning trainer with a horse breaking from the rail. With more, let's go back to Acacia.
Yeah, Simulate for trainer Bill Mott has been training down at Payson Park, and I did get a chance to catch up with Bill about the reasons behind the equipment change that we're going to see today with Simulate running in blinkers for the first time.
You know, we think that sometimes he gets a little intimidated if he gets in a tight spot and maybe not as willing to go on through as what we'd like him to. We put the blinkers on and he seems to be a little more aggressive in his workouts. You know, the only thing you've got to be afraid of there is that he's a little too anxious the first part of the race. Even though you want him to focus a little more They've still got to be relaxed the first part of the race or they wear themselves out. And sometimes blinkers can get them up in the bridle a little too much, but we're going to try it this time around and hope it works out. If he's up close, that's fine, as long as he's not running off. I mean, that's the main thing. It's a great spot to be in. You got the inside post and you got the rail, and it's the shortest way home. So if he gets away good and he's laying up close, that's fine, as long as he's not running away with the jock. They've got to come off the bridle and prick their ears a little bit, just save themselves for the stretch run.
And it's a fine line between getting them to show a little bit more with that extra equipment, and for a horse like Simulate, who can be pretty aggressive throughout the running of his races. We'll see if we can see the best of him this afternoon. Of course, Bill's pony, a guest star in that interview too, Greg. You might remember a horse named Looking at Bikinis, who is now in his second career as the Mott Stable pony.
All right, well, Simulate, bred in part by Claiborne Farm, and Dill Schneider, owned and bred. Gonna need, you would think, looking at the body of work to this point, to beat the top ones in here, that's a tall task, no?
Yeah, it seems virtually impossible on paper. He looked very promising when he won that allowance race in Saratoga this summer, but he just really has kind of gone backwards. And last time out, Irad rode him pretty hard to get early position in there. He had a very, very good trip saving ground. He angled out in the stretch. It's the exact kind of trip you want. He just didn't have enough horse.
They didn't have enough horse, but it is interesting, the adding of the blinkers, especially in that first replay they showed while Bill Mott was talking. You could see he's looking at the horse outside him. He's a little intimidated. Maybe this gets the focus he needs. Obviously, he has to take a step forward, but maybe the blinkers help.
Let's wrap up race 4. We just showed you there was an objection. Nothing happened. Result stands. Swen the win. Sarah Hess again aboard for the barn of Dennis Ward, who had been a little chilly, to say the least.
Well, it's a little chilly down there, so Swen was perfectly happy with it. I think this was a race where the real factor was whether or not the 8 was going to show up. The 8 was clearly the horse to beat. He did not run particularly well. That left the 6 and 11 as the 2 logical horses, and the 11 was the one who won.
Yeah, and then that objection, and there was an inquiry. Pedro Nunez was in between horses. He didn't really get bothered at all. He was just in a kind of a little bit of a compromising spot through no fault of the other rider.
If he had any horse, he wouldn't have been compromised at all.
Exactly.
Late pick 5 from Tampa begins in the next race. 6 furlongs in the 5th. $25,000 maiden claiming group. And a look at the current odds here. Giggity, former Derby winning rider Sonny Leon for Stephen Cahill. Right now at 5-2 on the board is the slight favorite. More on this group when we come back from a timeout. Part of this late pick 5 to close things out. Grade 3 Endeavour fillies and mares. And Will Walden. Can he get another performance like we saw in the Noble Damsel in New York out of Aussie Girl as she gets sets for her 6-year-old debut coming up on the lawn. Stay with us. Back with you on America's Day at the Races here on our Fox Sports 2 coverage. It's brought to you in part by Gainesway Farm. Power, passion, performance. Just like these guys deliver. The Mig and Andy Serling joining me here on the desk for our Saturday coverage. Endeavour Stakes is going to close out this late pick 5 in this card today at Tampa Bay. Fillies and mares, mile and a 16th on the turf. You have to start with Will Walden's Aussie Girl, who we showed you going to break. Very impressive, Andy, and that Noble Damsel back in October.
I tell you what, I'd be very happy to get the morning line of 7-2 on this one. She feels like she's the controlling speed in this race after she comes out of a race that was laden with speed and was basically eliminated on the turn. She's pretty good, Richie, when she runs her races.
Yeah, when she runs her race, I mean, look at the pace of the last race in the Swanee River, and then she had that, trouble where she was basically pulled up.
Well, a horse sort of bore into her on the turn, and she reacted to it and just completely flipped out, basically. She's good.
Yeah, I would think 7-2 is probably a pipe dream.
It is a pipe dream, I agree. I think there are some competitive players in there. Public Defender, you and I were talking off camera, it's not impossible. Our friend Rajiv Mirage on Love You Anyway and Candy Quest seem like players in there as well, but she looks like she should be favored in there. I know she's not the morning line favorite.
Getting set for what will be her 6-year-old debut coming up. We also have Chad Brown in the race. He'll be sending Al Jafara to line up. Lightly raced, just one start in the States. That was April of last year. So off the bench, just her 4th career start. With more, let's go to Acacia.
Yeah, she is a little bit of a tricky read because she's had such a big layoff, and it took her some time to get to the races in America before that allowance race that you mentioned back in April. She was not that quick out of the gate that day. She started in last and then was able to circle the field and finish up pretty impressively, winning that allowance on the turf. Following that, up at Saratoga back in May, she was actually training in company, maybe not quite as good as, but being the workmate of Excellent Truth, who would go on to win the Grade 1 Diana for Chad Brown. So hopes were high, then unfortunately a setback causing her to miss a lot more time. She has been training down at Payson Park, and I got a chance to catch up with Chad to get a little bit more insight on how she's doing and why we see her return to the races in such an ambitious spot.
Her first start in the country was great over at Keeneland, and then unfortunately she came out of that race with a problem that required a lot of time off. But she seems to be doing well, and I don't want to chance an allowance race the following week not going or something. So it's a tall ask to run on a stake off a layup, but we think highly of her. She didn't get away from the gates too well, which is, sort of typical sometimes for some of you run these horses in the country. But she sure made up a lot of ground late and galloped out really well and really ran to her training. She always worked like she's a good one, and I see more of that now. I know it was a long time ago, but having the race under her belt over here in our style of racing, I'm hoping she gets a little better position.
Maybe it's short on experience, but definitely has the right connections in her corner. Greg, as Chad Brown has definitely had a hammerlock on this race, and we'll see if Al Jafar is ready for the test against some tougher company today.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Thank you, Acacia. That's going to close out the action this afternoon. Sam Camacho will be aboard off the bench for just the 4th start of her career.
I think if anybody's thinking about betting her, they may want to take a look at the PPs of the horses that she beat last time. Their horses would be 50-1 in this race. And listen, I understand the Chad Brown factor, but I think if Chad wasn't training this horse, she could be 20-1 in this race easily, because she, based on that race, is over her head.
Well, she's got to get a lot faster than what we've seen up to this point, although it is a abbreviated career at this point, 3 starts, and she could take a step forward as well.
Anything is possible in horse racing, but based on her PPs, she's not a 9-2 shot like her morning line. She's a 20-1 shot.
That's what you get when you're in the barn of Chad Brown. That, again, will close out the action later today, part of 2 graded stakes on the coverage from Tampa Bay. We're going to take a timeout. We are about 10 minutes away, race 5 at Tampa. It's Giggity. Still favored the 2. Sonny Leone will be back aboard, trying to break his maiden career start number 6. We'll have the post parade to kick off this late pick 5 when we return.
$650,000 anybody else want $650,000 bid today, $1,650,000 $1,600,000. Thank you.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
And a Dare Manor will take the Clementel Hirsch.
Archangelo, the Belmont winner in charge. The Grade 1 Whitney to Arthur's Ride.
Olympiad gets the gold.
Tap it twice. Tap it twice.
It is Timberlake who's going to win.
She's so speedy in that sprint.
Sierra Leone in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Oaklawn Hot Springs is here for when you need to break away, when you want to reward yourself, when you deserve to indulge, when you want to be close to the action. It's all here. So what are you waiting for? Live racing returns with the classic racing season. So plan your stay at Oaklawn Hot Springs and come join the fun.
Back with you on our Saturday coverage. You can play it all again right there at Naira Bets. Get signed up, bet any track, anywhere, anytime. That offer, there it is, $200 deposit match, new customer bonus with that code. Punch that in at sign up. Bonus 200, and you're ready to roll at NairaBets.com. Race 5, once again, is going to start this late pick 5 that includes the Grade 3 Tampa Bay and the Grade 3 Endeavour, not to mention some strong 8th race, incredibly strong as well.
I thought the 6th race, maiden race, is an interesting race as well. First-time stars in there, including Current Yield coming in for Chad Brown.
What about Giggity in this spot, our current 2-1 favorite? 0 for 5 to this point. Slight drop, but has been at this level before.
Well, I think that he's the horse to beat of the horses that have run.
There you go.
The question is, among the first-time starters, the 8 has plenty of pedigree. Is certainly related to some horses that can run. Right now, not taking much money. And the same could be said for the 3, who's a half to Nick Style, a very good sprinter for Bill Mott. Though it's worth noting that first-time stars in dirt sprints and maiden claiming races, Derek Ryan is just 1 for 17 over the last 5 years. Or 1 for 12, excuse me. 0 for 5 at Tampa.
5-1 right now on that 3, that first-time starter for Derek Ryan.
Firsters are not really getting bet here, as of now, at least. How about the 11 coming in from Gulfstream? Could that just, he's slow, but could he just be sort of a new face coming into Tampa?
That's
races are bad.
He's going to have to take a big step forward.
Going to be a different horse at Tampa, that's for sure.
But there was an incident there in the paddock. A couple horses acted up, and it looked like one of the grooms, the horse got away from the groom, but it didn't look like he went very far.
See if maybe we get an update on the situation. Well, at 9, first-time starter, a little difficult to deal with right now. I tried to run off with the jockey aboard, and we're being told loose in the paddock right now. All right, so actually it's been corralled. Here's our post-parade. We'll start with Cousin Vinny, a first-time starter. Big price from the rail.
I like the movie better than the horse.
Terrific. Also had an Oscar winner, right? Performance?
Marissa Tomei, yeah.
Here is Giggity. Stephen Cahill trains.
He just looks best of the horses that have proven form so far.
First-time starter. Here's Rocco's Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, as a half, I said to Nick Style, a couple others that ran all right. Trainer not great, though, with firsters and maiden claimers.
They Call Me Sue ran for maiden 25, was claimed out of that race, distant third.
The interesting part is just adding the addition of Lasix. Is maybe that can make a difference here. Horse is going to have to get faster to compete with the 2.
3 starts has shown very little, the 7.
I can't add much to that. It's a trainer change, but we'll see if it matters.
Here is Peppa Pete, first-time starter by Matoli.
Taking some money now at 4-1. I don't like the work tab. Very spotty work tab, a lot of spacing between works.
Another first-time starter next door, the 9, Yes, I Will.
Yeah, this one's a first fall, not getting much bet, and some maybe here for occasion with the paddock.
Yeah, get to that one in a moment. Apologize. Here's the 10 we skipped to, Chance on Me.
Yeah, he's had a lot of chances. We just have to run a little bit faster than he has up to this point.
And here's the one with those 2 starts at Gulfstream's, going to have to move forward, certainly, off that form.
He is, but he's kind of a new face in the crew, so I think for that reason he's a little bit interesting.
7-1. We'll see if we get a look here at the 9. Not quite yet after those antics in the paddock as we're 4 minutes to post.
Greg, I can tell you it's always a lot of fun as a rider. You get dumped, the horse runs off, they bring him back for you to get on again, take 2. Kind of let him keep going next time.
But that's the job.
Yeah, it is the job.
But have you had instances like that before, too, where the horse surprised you and ran terrific?
Oh, yeah. I mean, more times than not, no. But, yeah, it does. And it just, I think, speaks more to the horse's greenness. There's a lot of new things for them to overcome their first start.
How do we construct this pick 5 ticket in this first leg and get out of this first leg with minimal damage? JK, what do you think?
I'm going to single the 2. Now, listen, I understand the horse is 0 for 5. It's kind of a new, it's a thing, you know, and one of the best parts about horse playing and handicapping is you continue to learn as you're going. And one thing I feel like I've really kind of grabbed onto the last, year and a half or so is we see these maidens are 0 for 5. And then I don't know if the horse wants to win. But my new trick to help me determine is to look at the prices that they were. And if there's short price horses, famously a horse called Geopolitics, if you follow New York racing, always a short price, always getting beat. Giggity, on the other hand, 16-1, 60-1, 41-1, almost 7-1, almost 13-1. This horse has actually run better than the public has ever expected Giggity to run. And now, finally, Giggity is where Giggity should be, with a group that Giggity should be with, and is the favorite. And I think Giggity will run to that. So it's a lot about not the fact that they're not winning, but it's why they aren't winning, who they're facing. But I tell you what, guys, I've really been looking for an update on the 9. Keisha?
Yeah, we do have a late scratch here at Tampa. Number 9, Yes, I Will, is a late scratch. As Richie had pointed out, first-time starter started acting up really badly when they got the call for riders up. Ended up getting away from his groom, and the rider, Wesley Ho, tried to do everything possible, but unfortunately was unseated in the paddock. The horse was loose, quickly apprehended. I do not have anything official on the jockey, but last I saw when back in the paddock, he was still down and being attended to, so certainly thoughts and hope that everything is okay there. But of course, representatives of First Aid on hand to make sure that all protocols are followed, as again, he was unseated back in the paddock, so late scratch here. But sticking with first-time starters, the number 3, Rocco Spirit, has that big pedigree, as Andy mentioned, and this horse was very green coming over, but he was a lot better once they got the tack on him. He's a big, solid horse. I would say, just based off of his build, that he is one that I think physically might just need a race, but he's good looking, and he looks like he should be pretty quick, which his half-sister, Nick Style, very, very quick early on, too, and I think they've done a good job trying to keep him settled as much as possible, especially for inexperienced horses on windy days, can cause them to really act up quite a bit too. Another first-time starter, the number 8, Peppa Pete, worked 10 flat at the OBS April sale long time ago now, as he does make it to the races, but he does come in here pretty sharp, was escorted by a lead pony coming in, but another one that really did settle once they got the tack on him too. He looks incredibly fit for his debut. 4-1 Avila, and has been training steadily here at Tampa recently, looking like a horse that does look ready and looks well spotted more than anything too when coming in here. I actually liked that 2-year-old sales work. I thought he did it pretty nicely. Again, taking him some time to get to the races, but maybe he is one that just, again, finds himself in the right spot. I don't have any problems with the 2, Giggity as your favorite. I think he makes some sense, but I agree with Andy that the 11, Simsalabim, is kind of a refreshing new face. Now, last time out, he did steady back sharply at the beginning of the race. Miguel Vasquez had to kind of sit back several times into the saddle, who was aboard that day. He was kind of jumping up at the back of the field and just never really was able to kick on after that, and I thought protected. He is a horse that's a little bit more angular in his hind end, so likely needed to strengthen out of that race. I still wish he was a bit stronger behind to get him out of the gate and into the race a bit more. But again, an intriguing new face. See if they can get around your now even money favorite, Greg.
Acacia, thank you. And you look at the 11 a little deeper. Horse actually took money in a straight maiden race at Gulfstream, first time out. Then 6 months off, doesn't get out of the gate well. So there's some excuses there.
I just feel like in a race like this, you're supposed to be open to new faces. And I'm not going to be shocked when the 2 won, but I can't speak for you, Richie. I would never bet this horse at 6-5. This horse has been 16, 60, 41, 6 and 12-1. He's supposed to be favored. I'm not saying I think it's that wrong, and maybe the firsters are a little bit cold, but he's not my cup of tea at 6-5.
Getting back to the outside horse, to the 11, Sim Salabim, this is a horse that if he doesn't get out of the gate, the outside post affords him the luxury of he's not going to get squeezed between two horses. He has a little opportunity to get his legs up underneath him.
And often outside is okay at Tampa, as we saw last race.
Yep.
Pick 5 starts here in this 5th from Tampa Bay Downs. Let's go to Jason Beam for the call.
Going in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Cousin Vinny came away a distant last, about 5 lengths behind the field. They Call Me Sue was out well, Giggity out well, Peppa Pete out well. Those are the top 3 across the course here in the early going. And out wide, Sim Salabim joining them as it's 4 in that front pack. That quartet quickly goes 5 or 6 lengths in front of Chance on Me, who was away in 5th. It's 3 more, then back to Rocco's Spirit. Cousin Vinny has caught that backpack as It's the Muscle Man is now the trailer. As they navigate through that first quarter mile, and it's the even money favorite Giggity in front by half a length. Giggity leads it to They Call Me Sue, a 3-wide Sim Salabim, 23 seconds flat the opening quarter mile. They get away now by 5 or 6 to Peppa Pete, who's back in 4th. Another 4 back to Chance on Me. They're really strung out here. It's 3.5 more to Rocco's Spirit. It's the Muscle Man, and Cousin Vinny is last. Giggity is the leader, but only narrowly so. They Call Me Sue within a neck on the outside. These two seem to have put away Sim Salabim, who's being joined by Peppa Pete as they come into the stretch. They Call Me Sue out wide. Giggity toward the inside. Peppa Pete trying to re-engage down toward the inside. Had faded from that top group. Is battling back from 3rd now. Final furlong time. They Call Me Sue. Giggity. Peppa Pete only 2.5 lengths back in 3rd as they drive to the final 16th of a mile. Giggity's back in front. They Call Me Sue on the outside. It's Giggity to win it. They Call Me Sue 2nd. Peppa Pete 3rd. Ways back to Rocco's Spirit, who is 4th. Chance on Me 5th.
Giggity, short price. Looked like he might be beat in this race early in the stretch. He finds more and starts off this Pick 5 as the favorite to get the victory.
Not winning like an even money shot should. The 8 looked like he had the momentum, but it's a little deceptive when you're closing inside. They often look like they're closer than they are, Rich.
Yeah, kind of interesting too. Sonny Leone on the winner, Giggity. He drifted out a bit to the 6. They Call Me Sue, fought that challenge off, then realized, wait, there's a fresh challenge coming towards the inside with Peppa Pete, then kind of angled back in a little bit, but just the best horse Giggity kept finding.
A favorite starts off this late Pick 5. Giggity graduates first career win, start number 6 for the barn of Stephen Cahill. Prices when we come back. Going to look ahead to what will be a busy week on the Derby Trail next week, including with opening weekend out at Hot Springs. Delayed, but the Southwest ready to roll after a slight delay. We'll talk you through some of the major players when we come back, including strategic risks. Stay with us. Back on our Saturday coverage, America's Day at the Races, and America's favorite alligator, Gasper.
Put a saddle on him.
Slow mover, but effective. Naira Bets, where you can play all the action. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get signed up, started. Bonus 200 again, that code to use for new members. Giggity, favorite to start off this late pick 5. Sonny Leone riding for Stephen Cahill at even money.
Yeah, gets it done. Fought hard, took challenges from the outside and felt a challenge from the inside. And Andy, I think he just found the right group.
It's often the case in these lower level maiden claiming races. It's a case where
Looked like he was in trouble here, didn't he, though?
I agree. I thought the 8 might get some more momentum going, but he just did not keep it up.
In the end, Giggity too good. Start number 6 gets that first career win and returns $4 for the victory. 2, 6, 8 in race 5. We'll move on. Look at that pick 5 with the favorite there, 45,000.
Well, I'm guessing some prices won earlier today.
6.5 furlongs in race 6. Maiden special weight for 3-year-old fillies. Current yield. Chad Brown, first-time starter from the rail for Klarovich Stables. Right now, 2-1.
Yeah, this horse probably is pretty good. You know, whether or not she's going to win first time out of 6 furlongs is another question. You've also got a first-time star for Savvy Joseph Sorokin. Savvy's numbers are not great. Shipping to Tampa, he's over 3, but he has hit the board with a couple of them with first-time stars and dirt sprints. I know the 5 might be a little bit interesting going in the dirt in this race. I think the same could be said for the Cassie horse, Elegant Charm, the 9, particularly Elegant Charm, the way the Cassie barn is going.
And with that pedigree, I mean, there is a half to great Stups, a grade 3 winner on dirt. Coffee in Bed, a grade 2 winner on dirt.
It's all dirt. I don't know why this horse has been on those surfaces. And Mark can be very good switching surfaces, particularly with maidens.
All right, well, more on that field coming up. Disappointing news, unfortunately, with a horse who was just crowned champion, 2-year-old, undefeated, Ted Noffey. Now has been sidelined temporarily with bone bruising that was discovered. Some recent signs of discomfort after a work at Palm Meadows, and typically something now that could sideline him for 90 days, so he is off the Derby trail.
Yeah, obviously you're sorry when the horse who was, you know, at that point the champion favorite is going to be off the trail. They say they're going to hope to get him back for Saratoga. I certainly hope that's the case, but it's not as though this comes out of nowhere. I mean, he kind of disappeared after the Breeders' Cup. We didn't hear much about him. Then he's back in training, but unfortunately he won't be making the Derby.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, he is the undefeated champion, and now we'll have to wait till later, and hopefully we see him in Saratoga. A lot of times, the second half of the year horse is just as exciting as the first half of the year, just we pay more attention to the Derby.
I agree with that. I was skeptical we'd see him for the Derby, and I'm skeptical we'll see him again. I hope we do.
Okay.
Withers, we were expecting to see here in New York, obviously because of weather. We got hit pretty hard by snow, has been rescheduled for next Friday.
Drawing that. Actually, I've already drawn it. 11 race card on Friday, including 5 stakes. So obviously we've had some pain with this weather, but we're going to have some good racing when things get back. We've got 10 races on Thursday. We're racing this Wednesday. We added a number of days, and looking forward to that Withers next Saturday. I assume it'll be a similar race to the one they already drew.
Very busy weekend next week, on this road to that first Saturday in May. With these delays here, here's a look at what's ahead. Southwest, which the postponed opening weekend at Oaklawn. Withers, as we just talked about, we'll have the Sam F. Davis Saturday from Tampa Bay, and the Robert E. Lewis out on the West Coast at Santa Anita, with more on the Southwest and what to expect next Friday. Let's go to Megan Burgess.
Well, Mother Nature has affected racing nationwide, with Oaklawn no exception, as we have been bombarded by snow, sleet, and ice as barns try to mitigate that cabin fever. Training has been canceled for about a week now and is expected to hopefully tentatively resume tomorrow afternoon, as it is yet another very cold day here in Hot Springs. But Smarty Jones finishers, 1-2 finishers, Strategic Risk and Silent Tactic are with me now, and they look to take their next step in this Derby Prep Series in the $1 million Grade 3 Southwest next Friday. As positive reports from connections on their progress in the morning, their last work coming on January the 21st. So they will have to contend with that unintended spacing as they have to face a solid field of foes, including 2 potential Bob Baffert current entrants in Butane and Litmus Test, with the $1.15 million Butane coming off of some very stamina-inducing drills there in California as he looks to take the 2-turn test for the very first time. Some flight delays have encumbered some of those plans in Florida, so we'll see who ends up here in Hot Springs in the end, but a solid field, lots of action, an incredible card ahead of us next week, but lots of action for the Colts. Don't forget the Phillies, though, as well in that listed Martha Washington Stakes as the perfect 2 for 2 here at Oaklawn Park. That is counting stars for trainer Mark Casse, who has done nothing wrong. She was incredibly impressive last time out in that route debut in the year's end stakes as she takes on a solid field as well, stretching even further out. But Brad Cox knows what it takes to win this race. He did so last with the eventual Kentucky Oaks favorite and Wet Paint as Hilsenden, the untappable winner, and Hit Parade, who also looks to remain undefeated on the dirt. But lots of action next week. I know for me, I cannot wait to get back to work. And hey, it's going to warm up. It's going to be in the 60s and 70s, bright and sunny next week here in Hot Springs for this snow to hopefully melt away just in time for Richie Migliori and Lafitte Pinkai to join me. And I can't wait to work alongside you guys as we get back to business here at Oaklawn Park.
Down there and not a lot going on. And then she talked about it being 60s this week. And my sympathy just completely left my body. Just completely left.
Be great to have them back. Obviously, this is, any little hiccup on getting to that first Saturday in May, a few days here, it can be big.
Yeah, I mean, it just interrupts your training. Most trainers have their main objective, obviously being the Derby, and they work backwards from there. So anytime you miss training, things are interrupted, you're going to have to adjust.
But Andy, as we move this calendar now, this race is going to be run in February. We get further along in this year. We start to separate these pretenders from the contenders.
I agree, and I think there are obviously, you look at the board here, there are a lot of potential pretenders in here, and there's a lot of money, and people are willing to take shots at Oaklawn. Very curious to see what we get from Decode, who was incredibly impressive, breaking his maiden beginning of the meet at Oaklawn Park, got to stretch out. Obviously, the Baffert runners are good. I'm not a strategic risk fan. I feel like he was involved in a soft pace and a softer field and a very different scenario in the Southwest.
He could not have gotten a better trip than he got last time. And I agree with you. I think the race is going to shape up completely different this time. The interesting about Decode, though, is you look at his pedigree, it doesn't really scream route, although he does have a sibling that won going a mile and
It doesn't scream it, but the Spicetown seem to do anything.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I mean, I agree with you. He doesn't have the kind of look that you want for a Triple Crown type contender, but man, was his debut was crazy.
He has ability.
9 buyer in that debut.
I'll put it this way: if he's not a Derby horse, he could be a Woody Stevens, Alan Jerkins type horse.
Bob Baffert, he'll send 2 as of now. Butane Litmus Test, who just was huge in the Low Sound Futurity. Meanwhile, Holy Bull taking place this afternoon, Grade 3 mile and a 16th. On the road to that first Saturday in May at Gulfstream Park in Nearly. Back in action. Let's check in with Jonathan for more. JK.
Yeah, thanks, Wolfie. I'm a fan of this Nearly, right? And I think that I'm a fan in the big picture, but I'm also a fan today because of where he drew. I think drawing outside of a horse like Cannoneer, the other main competition in this race, I think goes a long way. Now, the questions that all of these 3-year-olds will be answering over the next couple of weeks and months is, do they want more distance? Do they want more distance? And from what I've seen from Nearly, his running style in his last 2 races going 6 and 7 furlongs, his pedigree, they all suggest that he shouldn't have any problems going a little bit longer. Now, ask me in the first Saturday in May if he's going to handle the 1.25 miles, but as it comes to these 1.16 miles, 1.125, I think Nearly's going to be just fine from where he's drawn, and he just seems to be progressing in the right direction, and I think there's nothing wrong with having Todd Pletcher in his corner. Look, you'll hear this a lot. Todd Pletcher's record in the Derby is record in the Derby. Yeah, but he gets horses to the Derby, and if you haven't figured it out yet, the Derby's a pretty hard race to win. Ask Steve Asmussen, Chad Brown, The list goes on. It's a hard race to win, and Todd's done it a few times, and I don't hold his record against him. He gets horses there. He knows how to prepare these 3-year-olds, and I think he's got nearly going in the right direction. The only horse I think he really has to worry about in here is Cannoneer.
Cannoneer was very impressive when winning at Churchill Downs last time out off of a little bit of a layoff. That was back in November. He's been training down at Payson Park for trainer Brad Cox, and I did get a chance to actually speak to Brad the other day about him, and he said that this is a horse that he felt has really come along and is ready to take that next step. Now, he's got to step in to stakes company for the first time off the back of that impressive maiden score, and he also has to stretch out in distance from the 7 furlongs to the mile and a 16th. But he has a lot of speed. He was effectively dueling with a loose horse on the front end at Churchill last time out, was able to stay composed in that situation, which sometimes can cause horses to get really keen or try to run off, and he was much the best in there, and he has been very eye-catching and impressive when training in the mornings down in South Florida for Brad Cox. I am really excited to see what he can do, and he should be the one out on the front end. We'll see if he can take them every step of the way, and don't forget at Gulfstream, the mile and a 16th is the first finish line, causing some of the deeper closing type of horses to often be a little bit more compromised. Not the case for horses with early speed, Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Acacia. And results in that first turn coming up fairly quick, too. I'm not so sure it's just a 2-horse race.
I agree.
There's a New York bred in there who's pretty talented.
I mean, you got a horse in Bravaro that's 2 for 2. He was extremely impressive and ran a Buyer's figure in the mid-80s back in October. Well, it's, over 3 months later. There's no reason that figure can't be in range to be with the favorites in there. And I don't think anybody was here saying he's going to win the race, but I think he's a contender.
Oh, he's definitely a contender, and I think you make a great point. What we saw from horses as 2, you expect to see improvement to 3. They're just naturally, they're going to get more mature, physically bigger and stronger.
I agree.
I'd like to see us standing up for the New York bred program here. We'll see how that one fares in the Holy Bull. Coming up a little bit later on, points on the line to get into that starting gate in the Kentucky Derby. That race set to go at 5:45 Eastern time. Later today, you can play Gulfstream today and earn 10 times points for every $1 that you bet. You do have to opt in to take advantage. Do so at NyraBets.com. Good luck to all playing this afternoon. Tampa Race 6, start of the late pick 4, 6.5 furlong maiden special weight. Chad Brown, Kolarovich Stables, with the current 2-1 favorite, getting set for her debut from the rail. Daughter of Nyquist, current yield. Right now, the 1 to beat on the board. We'll go through the field post parade when we come back for the 6th at Tampa Bay.
Some horses are remembered, other horses are passed down like an heirloom. He's the kind of horse that lives in stories, each better than the one before, hardened like a diamond and equally brilliant. He ran 3 straight years at the highest level, and he himself was elite.
Putting on a show in the Preakness. Who's it gonna be? It's gonna be National Treasure. National Treasure would not be denied. National Treasure wins the Pegasus World Cup. In the blink of an eye has opened up a 5-length advantage. So 1-horse race. National Treasure.
There's a brilliance in the way he moved and a tenacity in how he finished. By quality road with a wealth of family, and he raced like he knew it. National Treasure, the key to quality.
You bet with NyraBets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the NyraBets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing, get expert picks, boost your bankroll with weekly promotions, and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the NyraBets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with NyraBets.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than America'sBestRacing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. America'sBestRacing.net is a sport for you.
We're back on our Saturday coverage. Thanks for spending part of your weekend with us here on Fox Sports 2 as we get set for race 6 at Tampa Bay, the start of the late pick 4 sequence, approaching the 9-minute mark to post. And it is first-time starter for Chad Brown's barn, Current Yield, from the rail, still favored at 2-1.
I know this is a filly that Chad is pretty high on and thinks she has some ability, and he shipped some good horses in the past to Tampa as well. Now, whether or not that means she's going to win it, at 6.5 furlongs first time out, and he's always overly more concerned about the rail more than I am. The numbers say that firsters do fine breaking out of the rail, but as general, as you well know, trainers always hate drawing the rail with firsters.
Well, especially big fields, you're in there first. You've got to stand there and wait longer while they're loading the rest of the field. And with young horses, it's a balancing act. You don't want them to fall asleep, and yet you don't want to put them over the edge, right, where they start acting up during that wait.
Well, Saffie Joseph Jr. barn with the first timer in here as well, the 6, 7-2. And just looking at the most recent work, probably a good indication this one's fairly quick early.
I mean, I just never really know, but I wouldn't be surprised. Saffie's horses often have speed, so I don't know anything about it. As I said, Saffie has had first-time starters at Tampa and dirt sprints, or just in general, they're open sprinters. He's 0 for 3, but he does have a second and third. They were horses that took a lot of money.
Yeah, you never know how they did it, Meg, in these workouts. It's impossible to kind of read between the lines, but 3 furlong bullet work.
It's kind of an old school move. Years ago, horses would not race unless they had what we termed a blowout, a short, sharp work within a few days of the race to kind of really wake them up, open up their airways. To me, that kind of speaks to that old school kind of move.
And the 10, taking some money here too, and that's one with experience. Ran third, beat 4 lengths, moved up to second via DQ, and that was at Tampa for the debut.
Yeah, it was a race that was all first-time starters. He didn't run that badly in there. And the 60 buyer is good enough to say, especially a second-time starter, could improve a little bit depending on what you see. But you do have, the firsters from Saffie Joseph and Chad Brown. This is not your normal maiden special weight at Tampa.
And you got a Mark Cassie horse in the 9 who is getting
very
on the surface for the first time.
That horse is very interesting to me.
Such a strong dirt pedigree there, and every horse that has run on other surfaces out of that mare, when they get to dirt, improve.
Yeah.
8 minutes away from this 6. Let's get JK's thoughts here on this race to kick off the late pick 4.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a stranger danger thing for me. Some of the horses that have run, I don't necessarily trust them. A lot of times when there's a bunch of horses in maiden races that haven't run, you start looking to some of the first-time starters. And Sorokin was one that I thought was a little interesting. Obviously, Saffie Joseph barn's going in the right direction with the win. What was that, 2 weeks ago? Must have been 2 weeks ago now. With all this snow, I don't barely know where I'm at in the Pegasus World Cup. But this is one that I thought was interesting. Owned by Niall Brennan. And I think a lot of times these owners can catch my attention for horses that maybe they were trying to sell, didn't get them sold. There's a charlatan here from the siblings. Nothing that you love, but there is Summer in Tahoe, who I thought had some nice early pace figures, a little bit of precocity, gets to the track a little bit later than I'm sure they intended, having a 3-year-old here. But this is one who's been working well enough. The one thing I don't like is the turf work 4 back. When I see those turf works mixed in, it usually throws me off a little bit that they're trying to still figure something out, trying to find out what this horse does best. But I'll give that one a shot based on the odds on the board right now.
All right, JK, thanks. We'll see what happens here. We'll get to this post parade in just a moment. Nice call on him singling in the pick 5 with the horse to beat. But anytime you can narrow things down, helps your ticket.
Yeah. I think, there's a mass misconception of people who insist on giving bad information on how to play multi-race bets. Yes, you're going to make money in multi-race bets over time. You're going to have to get some prices in there over time. But favorites can be your friends, and leaning on a favorite in the pick 5, something I know you do as well, Greg, can certainly make it easier to get somebody to price in later in the sequence.
Yeah, no question. Riders up. There is Sam Camacho. He'll be riding for Chad Brown on those Klarovich Stable Silks with Current Yield. Debut coming up, 5-2 choice from that inside post, where it's 2 first-timers taking the majority of the attention here on this board.
Yeah, not a lot of pedigree for Current Yield as far as production from the dam. She produced a couple of horses, didn't do a lot of running, was very expensive. And you imagine with that pedigree of Colonel John Dam and Nyquist, probably going to want more distance going forward. Whether or not that matters today remains to be seen.
You would think so. What I like is the spacing of the work tabs. I find that very important, right? Basically, every 6-7 days, this horse works like clockwork. There's one minor, like a 10-day gap in between, but you've always got to allow here and there for weather. But when you see a horse training consistently, fast workouts, breezes, every 6-7 days, it tells you they're a healthy horse.
Yeah, I think you'll see consistency from the Chad Brown horses working out in preparation for their starts. They'll work, every Sunday, or seemingly keeping as you say, every 6 or 7 days.
So here is the Chad Brown first-time starter, daughter of Nyquist, Current Yield.
Drifted up to 3-1, maybe. See if that's a good or bad sign.
Yeah, second choice right now. Here's Busker debuting.
Yeah, first foal out of a maiden mare, not taking any money at all.
Princess Huxley, the 4 debuts.
Another one not taking any money. The mare did produce one winner, but nothing that would jump off the page at you.
Fidela's first start, it came sprinting on grass.
I think the dam side is a little more turfy, but Upstart's more dirt. So maybe this horse could be a different horse on this surface.
It's the Safi Joseph Jr. first-time starter, Sorokin.
Comes in off that sharp 3-furlong workout. The mare has produced a few winners, taking money too.
And Rose, first-time starter.
Not taking any money, not that surprising.
18-1. Elegant Charm, the Marcassi runner, getting on dirt for the first time.
I think this is the most interesting of the horses that ran. They run well enough, and I think might become the right surface, though Good Magic sometimes want more distance.
Princess Vekoma debuted on this track, moved up to second via DQ with a 60 buyer.
Ran very well on debut. Was a little bit, tough at the gate. We keep an eye on her getting there, see how she reacted to that first start. She was difficult to load first time out.
My Angel Marie showed improvement in that second start on dirt.
She did. I agree. She can take another step forward. She's not impossible. Like many of these, getting Lasix for their first start as a 3-year-old.
First-time starter by Maxfield with a bullet work coming in for the debut, the 12th.
Yeah, last work was a nice work, 5 furlong stamina building work, but kind of not a real comprehensive work tab here.
And then also eligible gets in, if nothing else, might be quick early. Lucky Win Coco.
Tries the dirt for the first time, for what it's worth.
31-1. From the outside post, let's go to Acacia.
We'll start to the inside with the first-time starter you guys were talking a bit about, and the one Current Yield, as yes, she does come in with that big purchase price as a yearling, daughter of Nyquist, and she has been incredibly professional, which is to be expected. Warmed up without the pony, moving beautifully out there. No problems with her, as she is a horse that, yes, as Andy touched on, not a ton in the immediate family as far as the mare's production, though the mare herself is the sister to Grade 3 winner Sophia's Song, the dam of Grade 1 winner Bright Future. So there is some pedigree there, and she certainly is a beautifully put together filly. I really do like what I see. Now the number 6, Sorokin, first-time starter, is you were talking about those workouts. You can actually watch some of them over on First TV at Palm Meadows, not the most recent one, unfortunately, but you can watch the work 2 back where she was inside Taliesin, who's a 4-year-old stakes place filly, and this one was going far better than her workmate, who was getting out throughout the work, but this unraced filly, now a 3-year-old, finished much better in there. She was purchased as a yearling. She never went through a 2-year-old sale. Don't know the story there, but she has been kept by Niall and training with Safi. She's very lightly framed. I really wish that she had a little bit more muscle mass overall, but that being said, she's incredibly fit. There's no excess on her. Like I said, she's been working really well, and she has been sharp, both from the gate, and they even tried her once on the turf at Palm Meadows, which I could kind of see because she has such a lean feminine frame. Warmed up beautifully as well, though. Like I said, I wish she was a little bit stronger overall, but I'm not reading too much into it because of how easily she seems to be doing everything so far. The number 9, Elegant Charm, I agree, very interesting on the pedigree, being that she is the half-sister to Great Stuff, who was a very good dirt sprinter, won the toboggan, was 3rd in the Carter. Also, the half-sister to Grade 2 winner Coffee in Bed, who was good on the dirt, too. Now, this one, ran long on the turf last time, and I can see why. She is very big. She has very slack pasterns to her, though in her frame, her body, she's not necessarily angular or turf meant in that way, but I can understand why Mark Casse thought to try her with those conditions. But this is what she's bred to do. She's very strong. Like I said, looking at her, I would have guessed maybe longer, but it does not seem to be her cup of tea. So I am curious to see what she will do cutting back in distance. The 10, Princess Vekoma, has been taking quite a bit of attention as she is kind of the local horse who has at least some experience sprinting on the dirt. She broke running. She was pressing and just a horse that I thought was third best in there. There was a disqualification of the second place finisher. She was not impacted that day, but one that did show a little bit first time out, and she keeps Sammy Marin aboard, and I would imagine that's partly why she is taking some attention in here. As Richie touched on, she was bad to load first time out. So far, so good. She's acted very well, but we'll keep an eye on her as she gets closer to the gate, Greg.
Yeah, calmer, smoother load would certainly benefit Princess Vekoma from that debut. She's currently, 5-2, taking a lot of money right now.
She is taking a lot of money in here. I guess she's the one that ran that has the best form, so no surprise.
It was 4-1 in that debut. It was back on January 10th. And now second choice on the board.
Yeah, she's not exactly coming out of the same kind of field. She was in against first-time starters last time out, but now you've got a Safi Joseph and a Chad Brown. Both of them cost some money. They're probably, one of the two of them, if not both, are probably better than the kind of horses that she faced first time out, but the experience could be a big advantage.
First of two graded stakes coming up next. The Grade 3 Tampa Bay Race 7 follows the 6 races. Start off to pick 4. You can play it all right there. NyraBets.com. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Bonus 200. That code to use at sign up for new members to get that $200 deposit match. New customer bonus. Good luck if you're playing this afternoon. And it's the Chad Brown first-time starter now has gone back to favoritism from that rail position with Sammy Camacho. Wow, the 6 warming up looked, obviously I know Keisha was a little concerned with how light that one looked, Meg, but made a nice appearance.
She did make a nice impression. It framed up beautifully, got very balanced on the bridle. And obviously she's taking money. Current yield is now your favorite at 2-1. The horse that I'm a little bit interested, I think, same as Andy, is the 9 Elegant Charm. Just switching surfaces. Now, listen, you could have a family full of accountants. It doesn't mean everybody in the family is going to be an accountant, but so far everybody in this family has been good on dirt.
See if that remains the case here with Elegant Charm. For trainer Mark Casse, Sonny Leon will be aboard. Let's go to Jason Beam, race 6 from Tampa Bay.
Here's Elegant Charm. Sonny Leon already on a riding double. He's 7-1 right now with Elegant Charm. 6 first-time starters in this field, so just about half the group. Princess Vekoma, one of the experienced runners, right now at 5-2. My Angel Marie moving up to gate 11 in the orange colors, as Fidela is going to move up to gate 5. David Egan in town to ride Fidela. Sorokin, Party to the Max, and Lucky Win Coco are going to be the final 3. We'll be set for a start. Today's late pick 4 here, maiden special weight at 6.5. Sorokin coming up. Party of the Max going in, and Lucky Win Coco, the final 1. Lucky Win Coco is in. They're all in. And the race is on. Lucky Win Coco away out wide. Princess Huxley down toward the inside, flashing some speed. Princess Vekoma is right there. Busker, and down toward the fence is Current Yield. There's 5 of them vying for the early advantage. It's Busker, Princess Huxley, Current Yield. Those are the 3 that go 1, 2, 3 early on. Princess Vekoma going to sit just off them in the 4th spot. Lucky Win Coco is joined on the inside by Fidela. They're together in 6th and 7th. Length more then. Back to My Angel Marie. After that, N Rose. Sorokin stays down toward the inside. It's 2.5 more. Back to Elegant Charm in the early trailer. Party to the Max. 22.95 seconds for the opening quarter mile. Busker, Princess Huxley in a tough spot toward the inside. Current Yield down to their inside, trying to hold that rail spot. Then comes Princess Fakoma in the light blue and white sleeves. Lucky Win Coco continues a 4 or 5 wide sweep on the outside. Trying to get going from the back. Party of the Max is moving up, but it's going to be cast out 6 wide. Fidela, Elegant Charm just in behind. Also right there's My Angel Marie. It's wide open as they come around to the top of the stretch. Current Yield holding the rail position and cutting the corner. Princess Fakoma 2 deep. Lucky Win Coco far outside. Party of the Max. Final furlong time now. Current Yield, Princess Fakoma. These two try to go on with it. Lucky Win Coco. Party to the Max down the outside. Up the fence, My Angel Marie. Fidela Sorokin's down the far outside, but is too late. Final 16th to go. Current Yield holding sway. Current Yield took the shortest way home and gets the win a length and a half. Sorokin got flying from the back to get up for a photo for second with Princess Fakoma.
Current Yield, first time out, and picture will be taken momentarily here. Chad Brown, Klarovich, Sammy Camacho.
Seemed like, she broke well enough, and from the rail, Sammy was forced to ride her, and I think that's more what Chad's thinking. With the rail, you got to keep that position and holding it, and once they came in the stretch, she proved best here. The Safi Joseph horse probably would have benefited from a better trip.
Well, she had a magical mystery tour, the 6 Sorokin, but the winner took a lot of pressure, didn't break particularly sharp, and had to, rush up from the inside. And for her to keep finding, well, it speaks of two things. One, that she has class and determination, and she comes from a barn that sends them out fit. I mean, she was prepared and ready to run. The horse definitely, though, that had the difficult trip was the 6 Sorokin. She was inside. She had to steady a bit. She backed out, swung out, and then found her stride.
Yeah, want to keep your eyes on next time out. Current Yield, the victory. Race 6 to start this late pick 4 at 2-1. Mig's going to take a little break. Maggie Wolfendale is going to step on the desk for a bit. We'll see you again later this afternoon.
See you in a little while.
Graded stakes action.
Oh, we got to get that Tampa Bay pick. I got a couple of calls, actually, during the race, people saying they better not let the MIG leave without telling us who he likes in that Tampa Bay turf
I'm
race.
not going to give you any great information. I like the favorite, Quattro Centro.
Me too.
I just think he gets loose on the lead, gets very comfortable.
Your kind of horse. You'd like to ride him, as you are.
I'd like to ride him, sure.
All right,
I
we'll
hate to
see
tell
that
you
one
they
coming
don't
up
watch.
next.
Yeah,
Race
I know.
7, first of our 2 graded stakes on this Saturday card. That Tampa Bay is next. Quick timeout. We'll be back. Mark Cassie, anyone in this field, looks like they may not have to beat Win for the Money from this barn. Former Group 1 winner, over $900,000 in earnings, ready to go back to work for his 7-year-old campaign when we return. Back on our Saturday coverage, America's Day at the Races here on FS2, brought to you by America's Best Racing, making the sport easier to follow. Explore stories, betting tips, race day insights at americasbestracing.net. Wake up. Joining us on set, Maggie Wolfendale. Good to see you. How you doing?
Good to see you guys here. I feel like it's like a long-lost reunion up here on set, so it was very nice to see you all.
You join us just in time for the start of two graded stakes we have on the card. And, you know, Mig was talking about Quattrocento going into this one. Certainly win for the money, though, a major contender.
I agree. Andy, he's faced some pretty tough company throughout his career, his campaign so far. But I do like this horse. You know, last time going back to the Woodbine Mile, it was a tough field. It wasn't a great trip. He was 6 wide, just wide throughout. And then last time, you know, I thought it was a good effort coming in off a little bit of a layoff, but he's going to have to step up his game once again.
I had forgotten that he was third in the 4-star Dave, actually, when I was looking at the race, and he ran very well. And he has the speed to put himself outside of Quattrocento, who appears to be a very heavy favorite looking at the doubles, Quattrocento. And I'm shocked by this in doubles, not pick threes, but doubles. The 6 is a third choice behind Tom's Magic, who I don't like at all.
Yeah, he's going to face some older company for the first time. Has faced the right 3-year-olds. You know, obviously, he finished in front of Test Score, who did have a little trouble in that race, who would come back and win the Pegasus World Cup.
Current yield picture time after winning the debut. Chad Brown, Klarovich, Sammy Camacho, as we take another look.
It's the whole thing with the rail, right? Sammy had no choice. He had to go, probably a little more aggressive than he wanted to be, but had the horse of this filly when it mattered.
Yeah, she won quite nicely here. First-time starter, Nyquist. They paid $400,000 for her. So she also kind of hinted at the fact when it comes to pedigree too that maybe a little bit more ground won't be too far out of her wheelhouse.
Yeah, I had talked to Chad actually for a while the other day, and this horse came up in the midst of the conversation. He said he really liked her. You know, lights again, might want a little more distance. Like so many trainers, hated drawing the inside. I get it.
They all do.
Well, you know, it also forced her hand a little bit. And I thought Sammy did everything right that you had to do from in there, but it forced her to run hard every step of the way.
I like the fact, too, she showed some tenacity. She showed bravery. Sometimes it's easy for those inexperienced horses to back right out of there and get intimidated, and she wasn't.
Sorokin, one to certainly keep your eyes on next time out for Staffy Joseph Jr. Race 7, Grade 3, Tampa Bay.
Wow.
$175,000 purse. Tom's Magic opens up early at even money for the 4-year-old debut.
I'm scratching my head here. Andy, he's just not run a race as fast as Win for the Money or Quattrocinco. But with that being said, it is his first start as a 4-year-old, so there is room for improvement.
There is, but he hasn't run. It's been 2 months since his last start. It's not like he hasn't been out in 6 months. And I mean, it's just not fast enough. And I think a lot of people are going to be misled because he finished ahead of Test Score, who won the Pegasus last week. Test Score was extremely unlucky in that race.
Really
and really
unlucky.
A very good ride. I think that it was Flavian on Salamis, the horse who won.
Exactly.
Keeping him hemmed in there.
Yep.
And Test Score could never really get out to make his run in the clear.
Right.
So I would not be deceived by him finishing ahead of Test Score. He's not as good a horse as Test Score.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, before that, he's winning those restricted races up in Canada. And not that you know, is a slight against him. I'm just saying the waters are much deeper here.
We'll dive in deeper in a moment. Want to remind everyone what's new at ABR. Century in Motion, the evolution of Aqueduct, horse racing test trading card market with limited Legends autograph set, benefiting the PDJF. Okay. Use that QR code to scan for more. We're going to take a time out. Special guests being honored today at Turf Paradise, where we'll have coverage of races 3 and 4. Super Bowl winning quarterback Jim McMahon of the 1985 Chicago Bears joins us in just a moment.
Man, always one of your favorites.
I know it. I think when you think of the all-Madden team and you need a quarterback, I need Jim McMahon on here. Look at the way the guy dressed. He's the only guy that throws better with gloves on than not. Then he's going to run. You talk about shower, you take the shower right on the field.
Prince of Monaco's too good for Moose, an impressive winner of the best pal. Marty's all hot, but Prince of Monaco too good.
Prince of Monaco, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Next weekend on America's Day at the Races, action begins Friday with Lafitte Pincay, Megan Burgess, and Richard Migliore live from Oaklawn Park for the Southwest, a Kentucky Derby prep. Then Saturday, the return of Eclipse Award champion 3-year-old filly Nitrogen, scheduled to start in Oaklawn's Bayakoa. And join Acacia Clement live from Tampa Bay Downs for the Sam F. Davis, another exciting Derby prep. A huge weekend of racing begins Friday, 3 Eastern on FS2.
First again and again and again. First mission, 4 graded stakes. He made finishing first his mission, and all with big buyers. Now he's a Darley Stallion, and breeders are falling in love with him. Here's fabled horseman John Williams.
First mission is an eyeful. He's beautifully balanced, and I love the way he uses himself as he moves.
Come to see First Mission and tell us your first impression. Consider it your mission.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
We're back on America's Day at the Races and joined now by a very special guest, former Super Bowl winning quarterback Jim McMahon, on a team that was regarded by many as the greatest of all time, the 1985 Chicago Bears. Jim, thanks for taking some time to join us on
my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, on this weekend. Let's talk about your exposure to horse racing and how this came to be a turf paradise today and have a race named in your honor.
Well, my good friend Billy Rappaport has been in the horse business quite a long time, and I've been to the Derby a few times with Billy. And I'm not a very knowledgeable race fan, but I enjoy it. And we're out here at beautiful turf paradise, and looking forward to the day.
What I know you haven't seen a lot of horse racing, but I understand you've been to a couple of derbies. What do you appreciate most about the sport?
Oh, those horses are spectacular. I mean, and they get treated better than people, most of them.
Let's go back to your playing career, that 1985 Bears team, considered by many as the greatest team of all time from inside the huddle. What made that team so special?
Well, we had a lot of great players, number one. I mean, you're not going to win without good people. And we had a lot of great personalities, and we had a lot of fun. And I think that's what people still remember, how much fun we had during that season. And it wasn't just that season. We were pretty good for about 5 in a row.
What was that like being a leader on that team that had so many big personalities?
Well, it's always great when you got a guy named Walter Payton behind you give the ball to. So, offensively, we had a lot of different weapons. And defensively, of course, everybody still talks about them. But yeah, we just had a lot of great football players that wanted to win. And we won a lot of games in those years.
You guys had so much confidence, so much swagger. Did that give you guys a big edge? You felt like every time you guys lined up?
Well, we knew how good we were, and I think people around the league knew how good we were, and we proved it. Like I said, we in the 5-year stretch that I'm talking about, we went to 3 NFC Championship games. Unfortunately, only won one of them, but yeah, we were right there every year.
Do you still keep in touch with any of the teammates from back in those days?
Yeah, we just had our 40-year reunion the start of this past season, and I'm doing a Super Bowl party back in Rockford, Illinois on Thursday the 5th. So I'm hopefully see a bunch of the guys there too.
I know those days must have been incredibly busy, but now 7 grandchildren. You feel like you're busier now than you were back in your playing days?
Well, they're definitely they keep you busy when I get to see them. It's not as often as I'd like, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. You get them all riled up and send them home. It's great.
Well, enjoy the day. Looking forward to hearing what happens in that race. That's the Jim McMahon Classic. That's race 7 today, Turf Paradise. We appreciate the time and enjoy your afternoon.
All right, thank you very much.
One of the greatest competitors probably we've seen ever in the history of the NFL, and that team was just lights out, sensational. The first team ever to record back-to-back shutouts in playoff history, and then they just wallop the Patriots in Super Bowl 20, 46-10.
I felt like they scored 60 points or something. I remember that, and we were talking about it a little before Maggie's time, but that was. I used to follow football a lot. They were the scariest team I ever saw.
Yeah, it was. I'm not going to age myself, but definitely was before my time. But legendary because I've heard about those players and just the tenacity that they had out in the field. So as you can see, it looked like it was a really fun team.
And they had Walter Payton.
Yeah.
Who's the greatest legend in the history
sire.
of sports.
Sweetness was incredible, and the greatest Super Bowl theme song of all time as well. The Super Bowl Shuffle.
Oh, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You want to do that for us a little
bit? I will not be singing that for you later today, but it is a good one.
The MIG would probably be game. I don't think Maggie and I are in, but
Jim McMahon Classic, by the way. That's race 7 today at Turf Paradise. We're going to be off the air by that time, but we're going to be bringing you some earlier action at Turf Paradise this afternoon. Race 7 right now, Grade 3, Tampa Bay, 6-5 favorite. Still, Tom's Magic. Let's go to Acacia.
Yeah, and I saw this race similarly to how Andy and Maggie were talking about it because this is a 3-year-old facing older, and I thought that Tescore was the best horse in that race. And while Tom's Magic ran well in the Hollywood Derby last time out, he did not have any sort of adversity. The only real trouble you could say that he potentially had was that he never did see the rail. He was in the 2-path throughout, but all in all, he had a pretty smooth trip. Now, I was actually in California at Del Mar that day, and I remember that he got pretty washy and was a little bit wound up prior to the race. It's far cooler today here at Tampa, but he is energetic once again. I think that's just kind of how he is. But that being said, he looks tremendous. He's incredibly fit. Now, all of those horses that weekend, as you might remember, did not have an easy time getting back from California because all of the flights had been canceled. So they would have had to van back to wherever they were going, whether it was straight to fairgrounds, to a training center, maybe to Kentucky, down to Florida. So it could be kind of a taxing trip for some of those horses that had ran that weekend in California and then come back to the East Coast. So he's had enough time. I do like to see that he is acting what seems to be his typical demeanor. Let's see if he can keep that going as he steps up to face what I think is some pretty interesting company. Quattro Centos, we've talked about, has that speed, and he has been running against some tough graded stakes company as well, coming out of a try, back-to-back tries behind Wolfie's Dynaghost, who's been just ageless and in tremendous form once again. And Quattro Cento went right to the front end last time out, and Wolfie's Dynaghost wired the field that day, and he just wasn't really able to keep up. And I know that they've tried running him longer, 1 1/8 in his last couple of starts. He's even run 1.5 miles. I don't really think he necessarily wants to go that far. So I like a little bit less distance for him. He is quick. He is smaller and compact. He's built more like a miler type, honestly. So I like that he does cut back in distance here a little bit to this race today. The 1 1/16, maybe a little bit of the sweet spot for him. He looks tremendous. Super coat on him. And for a horse that has so much natural speed, he's very relaxed and acting really well here in this paddock where horses sometimes can get a little bit rambunctious. But I like what I see from Quattro Cento as he looks to pick up his own greatest stakes win today, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. We're 10 minutes away from this Grade 3 Tampa Bay. Once again, get signed up started right there on your screen, Naira Bets. That's the offer. Get that deposit match bonus with that code at sign up, bonus 200 at NairaBets.com. Let's go back to the 3-2 favorite right now. I think we're all a little surprised this one is still favored right now. Tom's Magic for Mike Stidham, and this is the way he ended his 3-year-old campaign.
Yeah, I think, watch on the far outside, the Judd Mudd Silks is the winner. Test score is in the blue, sort of in 5th between horses.
I kind of wondered what Juan Hernandez was doing here. He's riding this horse, and he's riding him into a wall. Like, where are you going right now? And you're on the favorite. But anyway, Tom's Magic obviously gets the jump. Salamis proved to be, the best horse with the best trip on that occasion. But I think, Andy, you could make the argument that Tom's Magic may have been 3rd best.
I agree, he was. And listen, the winner and the 3rd horse are nice horses, but I just don't think we've seen enough from Tom. If Tom's Magic was 4 or 5 to 1 in here and you liked him, fine.
Right.
But we're talking about a horse that's going to be at the very least vying for second choice with the number 6 here. And based on these horses' records, it's just not even, it doesn't make any sense at all.
I mean, I gave him a look just because there's possible upside with him here, Greg, but I, like Andy, don't see why this horse or what makes this horse 7-5.
Meanwhile, this is tremendous value right now on Win for the Money. Yeah. Currently 4-1. Maybe not quite the same horse that we saw win the Woodbine Mile with a 102 buyer, but still a very capable horse.
I mean, it wasn't that many starts back that in the 4-star Dave, he finished third behind Deterministic, who was a pretty good horse last year, one of the finalists of the Eclipse Awards. And I know the pace wasn't that strong, but Maggie, I don't think the pace is going to be that strong today either.
No, he has the opportunity to sit right in that, stalking trip behind Quattrocento. The 5 isn't that slow either. I wonder what they do with that horse. So he has the ability to just sit right behind the pace today. And last time, it was his comeback race off of a couple months break, and he was kind of taken in hand at the start. He sat right behind the leader. He was in a good spot, but then when he wanted to do his running, he had to wait, and I wonder if the winner just got the jump on him in that situation.
The Safi Joseph horse is not that bad. It's not like he lost to a terrible horse. And listen, his chief competition is Quattrocento, who gets away from Wolfie's Dynaghost, who I know a lot of people are familiar with. He's got a lot of speed, and he was forced to stalk that one, whereas in this race, he appears to be the clear speed. But I don't think that compromises Win for the Money, because he's very naturally quick enough to just sort of put himself in position, and I think it's easy for Sonny Leone. You just look to sit second to Quattrocento.
There he is. Quattrocento should be leading the way. With more on him, let's go to JK.
Yeah, guys, we talked about it at the top of the show. I felt like Tom's Magic was the type of horse you wanted to try to beat in here. A horse that probably wants to go a little bit longer. If a trainer like Mike Stidham tries to run him at 10 and 12 furlongs, and then 9 furlongs in the Hollywood Derby, those races are probably, a little bit longer, probably what they want. But I think this horse has kind of danced a lot of dances, shows up in a lot of spots, and I think that's probably why the horse is taking the money that they are based off of that second in the Hollywood Derby. But for me, Quattrocento down on the inside. A horse that's tactical, comes in off a 3-race losing streak, 6th place in all 3 of those. Prior, he was running fast numbers that I think are much better numbers than what these other horses we're talking about have been running. So with a little bit of an easier situation, I think, today, with a horse like Tom's Magic, who probably wants longer, a horse like Win for the Money, who I don't necessarily trust unless they throw him on a plane and head to Canada, it just feels like, to me, this horse should work out a great trip from the inside, should be able to save ground on both turns, probably, in my opinion, the best on paper anyways. Where do I go to bet? Oh, Naira Bets.
2-1. Thank you, JK, on Quattrocento. Holding is the second choice on the board, and that price now starting to come down on Win for the Money.
Yeah, I don't think that Tom's Magic's not going to be 8-5. He'll probably be the third choice by post time, but I just think it's crazy that he's even a similar price to the number 6 Win for the Money, who I prefer the speed of Quattrocento, but I'm not sure that Win for the Money is the kind of horse to beat, Maggie.
Honestly, going back to the Kelso up in Saratoga, I picked this horse. I liked him that day, and he had a little bit of trouble around the far turn that day and had a wide trip too.
That was the time you wanted to be on the rail. He did not have the best of trips. He actually ran well.
Here's Simulate to kick off the post parade.
Yeah, he's the 4th likeliest winner he can be forward. He's just not shown he's good enough.
It's a decent effort for a horse who came to Tampa and won last start, innately good at a big price.
He's going to have to find an effort, though, that he has not shown us on the racetrack. It was a good effort, but he has no speed at all here, Greg, and I don't think he gets the right setup.
Here's Quattrocento, the one everyone should be chasing.
Should be in the front, and he should be the horse to beat on the front if he gets the lead, but he's got to deal with Win for the Money.
Julian Leparoux rides. Spellcast, the other speed, as Maggie mentioned.
He's just another horse that's going to have to get better. You look at his turf races, and he ran okay, but not good enough to beat these.
Group 1 winner for Mark Casse, Win for the Money.
I'm sorry, this is value on the board at 3-1 on this guy. He would be my selection if the prices stay as they are.
8-5 for Tom's Magic. Beat a neck in that Hollywood Derby.
Yeah, as we've said, he's not a bad horse. He's just overbet.
And 19-1 outside, Britain's Kitten.
is coming off the back of a win in an A other than off a long layoff for Kevin Rice, but he got a really quick pace to close into, and I don't think he's going to get that here.
Tom's Magic still the favorite here at 8-5 for this Grade 3 Tampa Bay. Let's go to Acacia.
Here with trainer Mike Stidham, who sends out Tom's Magic. He's been taking a lot of attention. What have you seen from this horse as he makes his 4-year-old debut?
Look, you know, he did almost everything right as a 3-year-old. He ran in some really good races, and with a little luck, we could have won the King's Plate. But anyway, now we're a 4-year-old, and stepping up against the older horses is you know, you have to take the step up, and I think he's ready to do it. He's had a little break after his last race in California, and he's been doing well. So
He's a very high energy horse, isn't he?
he is. He's got a lot of energy, and like I say, he's trained well up to this. So if we get lucky, that's what we're looking for.
He was kind of in the chasing spot last time in California. How do you see the race playing out today?
It looks like there's some decent speed in this race, and I'm hoping that he breaks well and gets somewhat of a stalking position.
Thanks for the time. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
Greg?
See what happens here. 8-5 on Tom's Magic for the Stidham Barn.
I still don't feel bad for Acacia having to wear a jacket out in Tampa. I still don't feel sorry.
Because now the question is, would we feel sorry for each other if we got to go there for the weekend and it was like that? I would personally.
I would, because we've traveled down there. Vacations in Florida for the winter. But the thing about Florida in the winter is, if you're down there, and I've spent winters down there, and it gets to be around 50, you feel like it's around 20.
Well, that's
because your body is just shocked by it being cold.
And that's the thing with it being 25 here today. I walked in with my coat unzipped. I was like, man, this is balmy.
It was warm compared to the rest of the week, so yeah, I agree. It's hard when you're down there, especially when you're down there for an extended period of time and you get those cold times. It's rough.
It is.
You look at this board right now and you see Simulated 9-2 and Win for the Money at 3-1. Does that make little sense to you?
Little. It's insane. I mean, I understand the late flashes, and I know people that play Tampa are familiar with this. You're going to see changes, but I'm shocked that Tom's Magic is still favored. And
I think we all are.
You know, talking about Simulate, and I think you agree, Maggie, when he won that allowance race in Saratoga, a lot of us thought he had a chance to be a real player in the 3-year-old division. He's just never been able to duplicate that race.
He ran huge that day. You know, maybe it was a factor. Maybe it was a factor of who he beat. But then again, he was nearly 17 to 1.
came back with some good races.
Exactly. I do like him getting blinkers on. He wanted to. Irad tried to get him to rally.
He was aggressive last time
between horses, and he just seemed a bit reluctant to do so. I wonder if they're putting the blinkers on to get him to be a little bit more true, to run through those tight spots.
Let's go back to Acacia.
Yeah, and I just want to say, Andy, it's also raining and the wind is spiraling in all different directions. But yes, when you are in Florida, the humidity in the air and when it gets cold is just a combination that is not as fun. And I feel like I'm back in the Aqueduct paddock right now. With that being said, as far as Simulate is concerned, I'm with Maggie. I think the blinkers should help. He is an aggressive horse too. You can see even last time he got washi on his neck. He's one of those kind of horses that you just strikes you as wanting to be like rawr, you know, before the race. And that's how he is in the paddock today. And I think that's why Bill Mott had touched on not wanting him to get too keen with that equipment change. It's just a short cheater cup going on, but hopefully it does help for him to be a little bit more genuine with that equipment change going on today. As far as Win for the Money, I'm with you guys. I think that he is definitely an overlay. He is now getting a little bit more attention, but you will see some changes on this Tampa board. He has faced some tremendous company, and let's not forget, he is actually a Grade 1 winner too. I know back last year in 2020, or 2 years ago now in 2024, but even still, he has it in there to run a triple-digit Beyer speed figure, which nobody else in this field has yet to do. So back class alone, I think that he is arguably a horse to beat. Now, I know he's not necessarily found the winner's circle recently, but he has been facing tough horses. He, too, is a horse that can be a bit aggressive and energetic prior to his races. I thought he looked spectacular today. And last time out, he just was running between horses last time late, maybe leaving him just a touch too much to do at the end. I think we're going to see a better effort from him today as he has it in there. We'll see if he can put it all together this afternoon, Greg.
Yes, we will. Favoritism finally has moved to the one we expected it to be on Quattro Cento here.
I'm very curious what the odds look like after the last flash, because I'm still amazed the 7 is the same price as the 3 and a shorter price than the 6.
First of 2 graded stakes on the card. This one for the boys, grade 3, Tampa Bay. Jason Beam with the call.
They're in the gate. And the race is on in the Tampa Bay Stakes. Tom's Magic came away a little awkwardly. Quattro Cento came away beautifully and cruises right out to the front. Spellcast away in good order. Win for the money now coming up to join the front ranks with Britton Kitten and Tom's Magic between runners as they bend into the stretch for the first time in the Tampa Bay. It's Quattro Cento, an easy leader here. Julian Leperoux and Quattro Cento a length and a half in front of Spellcast. Win for the money. They're right together in second and third. It's a break of 2 more back to Britton's Kitten. Tom Magic makes his way over toward the inside. Neatly good and a little bit tight there toward the inside, and Simulate is the early trailer with 6 furlongs left to go. It's Quattro 0.94 seconds as they work their way to the back stretch. Quattro Cento, a length and a tail in front of Win for the Money, who stocks that one in second. Spellcast back a length and a half in third. Tom's Magic now fourth. Simulate makes a little bit of an early bid, goes by a couple at the back. Those are Britton's Kitten and Innately Good. Just over a half mile left to run. Quattro Cento took all the late money down to 3 to 5 through a 48.70 second opening half mile time. Win for the Money, just in behind, 3/4 of a length back in the second spot. Spellcast stays bottled up down toward the fence. Tom's Magic's in and amongst horses, being kept in right now by Simulate, who's going to be 3 or 4 deep as they run to that turn. Length and a half more to Britton's Kitten and Innately Good. They're only separated by 5 lengths as they wind around that turn. They got to come catch Quattro Cento, though. Quattro Cento and Julian Leperoux to the top of the lane, now a length and a half in front of Win for the Money in the second spot. Simulate loops up 3 deep. Tom's Magic in behind that. Quattro Cento coming to the 8th poles, kicked away 3.5 lengths now to Win for the Money. Tom's Magic down the outside, starting to rev the engine. Britton's Kitten's running on, laid down the far outside. Quattro Cento gave him no chance today in the Tampa Bay. Walked around an easy winner here by 4.5 at the end. Tom's Magic up for second with Win for the Money third. Britton's Kitten fourth.
Quattro Cento to the front and an easy time in this grade 3 Tampa Bay.
And we talked about the late odds movements. This horse was 2 to 1 when we were talking, went up at 3 to 5. And not only was he very impressive, I think it's clear, though, that Win for the Money didn't run his race at all, but he was
didn't.
impressive.
And the board knew that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he wins by 4 or 5 lengths here in the end, and I guess it's nice when you don't have to chase Whoopi's Dynaghost around the racetrack, and just being able to use your speed, you know, dole it out accordingly. Not crazy fractions, very doable fractions, you know, 12s kind of the whole way around there.
Goes home in 5 4/5.
Right. And so, when you turn for home, you're going to have
Ain't
plenty left
catching
in
him.
the tank.
Right.
Yeah.
Quattro Cento, 5th career win, 15 starts.
28-2 the last 5/16.
Yeah.
A little tough to catch a speed when they do that.
Exactly. And congratulations to Fausto Gutierrez. You know, we were just reminiscing about Latruska and the job that he did with her. And a really, really nice guy. So it was nice to see him have another nice horse.
And good with horses with speed.
Former personal ensign winner. She was sensational
She
in
was
that
awesome.
champion campaign.
Yeah.
Quattro Cento, wow, 3 to 5. In the end, you were right. Final click, things changed quite a bit. 3-7-6-8 in this grade 3 Tampa Bay. It was all Quattro Cento's start to finish under Julian Leperoux at Tampa. Back with you on our Saturday coverage on FS2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Quattrocento easily takes this grade 3 Tampa Bay under Julian Leparoux.
Frankly, he made 3 to 5 look like an overlay. He was much the best in here.
And it shows how good Julian can be on a front-running horse, you know? I didn't mean that as a slight, I promise, but it is true.
I like Julian a lot.
I love it.
I think he takes a lot of undeserved heat from people, but he can be frustrating at times, but he's a good rider, and as you say, knows how to win the front end.
First graded stakes win of this runner's career. Good for him. As a 5-year-old, breaks through Fausto Gutierrez, St. George Stable, and as mentioned, Julian Leparoux, $3.40 for the victory. But you thought going into today it was going to be the Philly and Mare edition that was more competitive.
Yeah, it's just a much more interesting race. I think you look at it, there's a lot more contenders in there.
There's a lot of things going on, too, like horses kind of coming back. Who are they really? Horses that, you know, some of them had trips and you know, Candy Crest, for instance. How does she want to be ridden? I think she's better when they can keep her more forward. She's just had too much to do in her last few starts.
And she's going to have to be a little bit more forward here to be successful, because the horse to beat, and I think the likely favorite, though not more likely favorite, is Aussie Girl, and she's probably going to be on the front end.
Exactly. I mean, after that disaster that happened into the first turn in the Suwannee River, Greg, you know, what do we get from her as you? And what's funny is she has natural speed. They don't want to use it with her.
They should just send her in this race. I would get her out of
Will
trouble
Walton
in there.
says they want her to rate.
We'll get to that. Let's go back, wrap up this Tampa Bay with Acacia.
And here with winning jockey Julian Leparoux. Julian, your only mount at Tampa today was Quattrocento, and it was worth the trip.
Yes, definitely. You know, with the weather back up north, you know, is everything get canceled. But I'm glad I was able to come here and ride him. And obviously today was a good race for him. He could control the pace easy and finish up strong.
He's a horse you've gotten to know really well, having ridden him a lot recently. He's so dangerous when he was able to settle with those kinds of fractions like he did today.
Yeah, I mean, the last 2 races, obviously, the competition was a little bit more also. But definitely, when he's on the lead and controlling the pace, it makes a big threat. Yeah, he just relaxed and finished up very strong.
Tell me a little bit about your relationship with this horse and with Fausto Gutierrez, who seems to have really kind of figured him out and brought him along the right way.
Yeah, I mean, I rode him the first time at Ellis Park in August. But yeah, since then, he's a horse I think we tried to figure out the no fighting. He was kind of king before in the race. So just no fight with him. He doesn't, I mean, he won off the pace too, but I think the key is just no fighting with him.
Well, you two get along beautifully. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Greg?
Nice win. You come for one mount on the afternoon. Got to make the most of it, and he did.
Yes, he did.
Nice win. Quattrocento, gate to wire, grade 3, Tampa Bay. This next race, we talked about it earlier. Long-awaited return. Kept Andy up at night. Disruptor coming back. Even money right now. Last seen in the Florida Derby behind Tapan Street and Sovereignty when he finished 5th. And then you have an interesting horse next door in Little Thunder, whose debut was a win at Tampa.
I mean, that debut at Tampa, did Thoroughgraphs have that race fast? Time Form US loved that
Yeah,
race.
it was pretty fast.
And, I mean, listen, Disruptor's maiden win at Gulfstream was very, very good. I was looking up some numbers on Todd. Turning back in the dirt, 6 to 12-month layoffs with favorites. He's 5 for 11. $1.80 ROI, but he's getting it done pretty well when they're short prices.
I was watching this one's workouts coming back here at Palm Beach Downs, and while it hasn't, you know, necessarily been working with the best horses, he's been doing it the right kind of way, especially that last breeze coming back in here. I know it looks slow, but, you know, workouts there are historically slow, and he just destroyed his workmate. He galloped out by like 10.
We're going to take a time out. Your big moment, though, before you leave. We're going to bring Mig back in. You need to tell us who you like in the Grade 3 Endeavor as your party thoughts.
This is a pretty exciting moment for everybody. I like Aussie Girl. I mean, I just think she's the worst of boss in the front end, but I do think that Public Defender is dangerous, the 11. I know Flavien was able to save ground, gotten a little tight top of the stretch coming through. I thought she was farther back than she should have been last time out, and I think it'll be important to get her better position today. And I thought she was the biggest threat to the favorite.
How short do you think we're going to see Aussie Girl? price-wise.
5-2. I mean, it's too competitive. The thing that I find weird, and El Jafara, if El Jafara wasn't traded by Chad Brown, she could be 20-1 in this race. Now, maybe she moves up a lot for Chad, but my gosh, off that win at Keeneland, she's got to run a lot better to be competitive here.
But Chad was pointing her to the Belmont Oaks. I know she had bone bruising as she was working up in Saratoga in this late springtime. Now she's back. I wonder what she does. I think she's the most intriguing horse coming back here. But like as you said, you don't want to take a short price.
Right. If she were 12-1 and you want to take a shot with her, fine. But not at 9-2 or something. We'll see.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
I'll see you hopefully on Wednesday.
Yes.
You I'll see the following week. You're gone this week.
Correct.
Enjoy your vacation.
Thank
Meg,
you, sir.
back on set when we return. We'll have action from Out of Turf Paradise. That's immediately next, and then more stakes action ahead at Tampa as well. Back with more America's Day at the Races when we continue here on FS2.
$1,600,000 $1,600,000 bid now $650,000 $1,650,000 anybody else want $650,000 bid today $1,650,000 $1,600,000 thank you.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
Say hello to Move. It's a one-horse race, very professional and very fast. Move, rolling home by 4 in fine style.
Muth, the son of good magic, coming down the stretch in Hot Springs to win it.
The Fasig-Tipton Kentucky Winter Mix Sale, a catalog featuring quality breeding stock, including stakes caliber racing and/or broodmare prospects, mares in foal to America's top sires, and a strong selection of short yearlings, producing success stories for buyers year after year. Don't miss the last mix sale before the breeding sheds open. The Kentucky Winter Mix Sale, February 9th at Fasig-Tipton in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be?
Back on America's Day at the Races here on our Saturday coverage. And we're going to head to Turf Paradise. You saw that Jim McMahon interview earlier today, race 7's that Jim McMahon Classic will be off the air by then. It's actually a big scratch in that race with Positivity the 4 coming out. Race 3, though. $16,000 condition claiming 5.5 furlong sprint. Pop Doro right now the favorite.
He's a big drop down in here. He is second off of a layoff, though, Greg. Before the layoff, he was competing well in those state-bred stakes races, but the return race was not as good as one would hope. He really came up short, though. I will say that Robertino Diodoro, with this type of move, allowance to claiming at Turf Paradise is 9 for 33.
This horse is on a roll. This horse, what, 5 in a row?
Yeah.
Before that streak finally came to an end back in April.
Caught some lightning in the bottle, and even like the disappointing effort, which then subsequently resulted in a layoff, wasn't that bad either. I mean, a 76 buyer definitely wins here.
Post parade coming up as we approach this 6-minute mark to post here. Compact field in this 5.5 furlong sprint. And we'll see Don't Hit Me Bash in a moment here. Back-to-back narrow defeats in the last 2 outings, just claimed last time out.
Yeah, and, you know, I feel like is a horse that could have speed, but probably is not the fastest horse in here overall. The problem is does go from a lower profile trainer to one that is 0 for 42. So it's not Greg's face. There's any sort of move up in this type of situation. Does come off of a decent effort, actually 2 decent efforts in his last 2 outings.
As
this
expected.
Is a slow walk.
Yes,
to
it
the
is.
Turn. You know what? Good for them. Take advantage of beautiful Arizona weather. I would be doing the same thing.
Yes, indeed. I know we miss it. Dealing with extreme. I've not been in New York where it has been this drastic.
It seems like it's like we have 10-year spells. It felt like 14, 15, 16 were just like this and pretty rough, and then we've had a nice go of it, and so sorry. Welcome to the real New York. Yeah.
Here's Don't Hit Me Bash. We'll see if this one can break through here. Second start of the 5-year-old campaign.
Yeah, it probably projects to sit that stalking trip from the unenviable 1 hole, though.
Jamie's Commitment dropped into this level last start, did not make much of an impact.
And I was chasing a pretty fast pace at this same distance of 5.5 furlongs and came up pretty darn short.
Drop in class and the one to beat. Here's Pop Doro.
Big, good-looking son of Bolt Doro, an Arizona-bred. That's why he was dominating these Arizona-bred sprint stakes before the layoff. See if he can get back to some of those better efforts.
Laws of Man in this condition last start was a huge price that day, round up 4th.
Yeah, he saved every inch of ground, tipped off the rail through the stretch, just kind of stayed on evenly. He has to build on that.
It was off a layoff as well. We'll see if he can. And the Desperate Man outside has some speed.
He does have some speed. We'll see how much of it he uses here. The pace did fall apart in his last effort. They went pretty quick, but he really backed up. Like, there were 2 other pace horses that kind of hung in a bit longer than he did. He was done by mid-turn.
Going to go back to JK now. Jonathan, let's put your Turf Paradise knowledge to use.
Listen, I got to tell you, if there's a 4-legged animal running in a semicircle or a full circle, I'm good with it. I don't care where it's at. I get a little confused when they put a wagon behind them. That's not necessarily my game, but wagonless 4-legged animals, circle, semicircle, I got it. I'm going to go with the 5, Desperate Man. You know, look, in these 5.5 dirt races, we don't see that very often in this country. It's, 6 furlongs is typically the shortest races most racetracks run. But we talk about it a lot in Saratoga with those 5.5 turf sprints. They're so short that I prefer to have a horse who I think has tactical speed, feels like the best horse drawn outside. Because then I know if they lose a little bit ground 2 or 3 wide, I don't really care too much about that. What I don't want to happen is for them to get a lot of pressure or to get stopped. From the outside, Desperate Man feels like he is probably the best horse in here. If Pop Doro's the best, great. I'm drawn outside of him, and I'll be able to dictate to him rather than him dictate to me. I'll take the 5, Desperate Man, and you give me a 4-legged animal, Wolfie, I'm there.
As we all are, we love this sport. We'll get back to this race momentarily. Going to return to Tampa and the return of Disruptor, 4-5 on the board right now. Horse who was just dominant in the second start of his career for Tad Pletcher. Tried the Florida Derby against Japan Street Sovereignty. Wound up 5th. Has been on the bench since. Let's go to Acacia for more.
As he comes back and makes his 4-year-old debut and cutting back in distance too. He was dazzling when breaking his maiden, going the 7 furlongs, and off the back of that performance and the 92 Beyer speed figure, he was 3-1 in the Florida Derby. So certainly a horse that I think has to be respected. Now I've followed his races, but I've never actually been in the paddock for one of his starts, and looking at him, I like the turn back. He's not that big. He is very sharp and energetic. He's more compact. He's smaller. I know with the progeny of Gunrunner and with the purchase price, you would imagine they're hoping at the beginning that you can win a race like the Florida Derby, go on to be a Kentucky Derby type horse. It just looks like that's not really in the cards for him. Shorter definitely looks like it's where it's at for Disruptor, who does cut back for the first time. And Maggie touched on those workouts that you can watch on First TV. He was working inside of a horse named Skateaway last time out, who was another allowance type winner layoff horse and was absolutely no match for him. But prior to that, he had a couple of workouts solo over at Palm Beach Downs too. And while they weren't necessarily flashy workout times, 48 flat or 48 and 1, 49 I should say, and 1 at Palm Beach Downs actually is a pretty fast workout. And I thought he had great energy in the solo workouts too, which I take a lot out of, given the fact that he's able to do what he did in the mornings without company. He absolutely looks fit off the bench, and very interested to see what he does and what the rest of the year might hold for him too, Greg.
That was just a massive maiden win at Gulfstream, and then obviously incredibly deep waters trying to go to the Kentucky Derby Trail, where he went to the bench and obviously had an excuse. Mig back with us now. Good to have you back, and you join us for a good race here at Tampa.
Yeah, really good race. Listen, Disruptor went off at 3.5-1 basically in the Florida Derby. It speaks volumes to how highly they thought of him.
And I wonder what happened that day, because he was a horse that going the 7 furlongs showed speed. Now, he broke a step slow that day, then got pinched back. And still, I mean, he was able to kind of muster up a little bit of a rally while wide in that Florida Derby. But again, you know, he was also kind of thrown to the wolves, if you will, in that Florida Derby after just graduating.
We'll get back to it. We go to Turf Paradise, loading for race 3 here. Again, this 5.5 furlong sprint. The public remains all over Pop Doro, who is a 6-time winner. All of those wins coming here at Turf Paradise. 6 for 9 on this track. I think that qualifies horse for course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's so much the horse to beat here.
He really is. I mean, and you get speed in here going 5.5. Even the horse who was inside ran in those mixed races, 1,000 yards against quarter horses.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And wasn't too far off of it. So does feel like there's a lot of speed. Pop Doro is fairly naturally quick, despite being a really big horse.
Vic Stauffer with the call. Here's race 3, Turf Paradise.
They're at the post. They're off. Don't Hit Me Bash astride slow. Pop Doro and Desperate Man shows speed. Between horses and at the rail, it's Jaime's Commitment. Then comes Laws of Man, and the slow start has Don't Hit Me Bash at the back of the pack. Pop Doro has the lead with pressure from Desperate Man. Pop Doro a half length. Desperate Man is second, the same margin to Jaime's Commitment, third at the whale. Laws of Man is on the move, and here's Laws of Man up into a clear third now and 2 from the front. Don't Hit Me Bash is still the trailer, and Pop Doro is the leader. Pop Doro, 3/4 of a length in front of Desperate Man in second. The rail is wide open for Jaime's Commitment, and he is going to ride it, and he's going to go through and take the lead. Pop Doro is in very deep water. So Jaime's Commitment has the lead. Desperate Man is second. Pop Doro is now back to third with Laws of Man, and here's Desperate Man to challenge Jaime's Commitment, and these two come to the wire. Jaime's Commitment, Desperate Man, Jaime's Commitment in front. Jaime's Commitment beat Desperate Man. Laws of Man was third, Pop Doro fourth.
Jaime's Commitment crossing the wire first. Mig, did anything happen down the stretch?
It appeared to me, and without the benefit of a head-on, Maggie, that the 2-horse Jamie's Commitment came out into the 5 very late. You're going to see right in here. You're going to see how like stride changes. He went to his right lead. Maybe I'm making more of it than it was.
Watching it live, yes, but then when you really focus on the inside horse, your unofficial winner, he was remaining on his inside lead, and the jock, tried to keep him on a very straight course.
He did, and I think he might have deviated slightly when he went to his right lead.
Right, exactly.
Post-parade, race 8 at Tampa, 7 furlongs here, this allowance optional claiming field. We start with Empire Sky.
Empire Sky, tough post, and facing a pretty salty group here.
Air Invasion last time on dirt was a winner, but would need to step forward.
Yeah, that was a claiming 10 race here, though. He does beat some of the same horses.
Decent figure for P4 last out in a runner-up finish.
Yeah, came off a very good effort in same type of race. I'm sure they didn't expect to see Disruptor in here.
Yeah.
Jade's Jay, any positives?
Not that I can come up with. Goes from a high percentage barn to a lower one.
Just Relax, has speed, comes off a win.
Moves way up in company off a big win. And don't you hate when someone says to you, just relax?
There's Doroteo at 28-1.
His big win came in a 4-horse field with a perfect trip at Indiana.
Swaggish finished just behind P4 last start.
Yeah, closed well in a very similar type of race. But again, another one probably surprised by Disruptor.
Half man, half amazing. Here's Vinsanity.
A familiar face, too, the Naira circuit. The pace held together in his last start. He was the only horse to make up ground.
The exciting Disruptor, first chance back since he went to the bench off the Florida Derby.
Yeah, anywhere close to his maiden breaking effort, and everybody's running for second.
Huge debut from Little Thunder, and it came at Tampa.
Yeah, Tim Ham is pretty deadly at Tampa, too, and this guy has that speed, which also could be deadly.
And Homer Jones, he's won 3 in a row since sprinting on dirt.
Yeah, listen, he's in great form. He's moving way up in company, looking for his 4th straight victory, but this is a lot saltier than what he's been facing.
2 minutes to post here in the 8th. Let's go to Jonathan.
Yeah, guys, expect probably a late flash here on Disruptor. What is he right now? Even money? Oh, I wish. I don't think that's going to happen. The funny thing about this is that I think a lot of the South Florida trainers, Miguel Clement, his father Christoph Pryor, Chad, Todd, I think they utilize the condition book at Tampa for some strategic spotting of horses. And to me, this is Todd just having a horse who obviously has had some time off, finding a condition to bring him back in a spot that could be a little bit easier than what they might find at Gulfstream. On a racetrack that's a track that I think really moves horses up in terms of fitness and progresses them on. And, like Richie said, I don't think they thought when they entered that they were going to open it up and see this horse who ran 5th in the Florida Derby behind Sovereignty and Tapan Street show up in here. This horse, early in his 3-year-old year, ran a sprint race that is pretty much significantly faster than anything else has run even beyond that. If he comes back at 80%, I still believe he wins this race. I think he's the easiest win on the card. The price I said, I just don't think he's going to be 4 to 5. I think he's going to click down significantly more from that. So maybe finding an opportunity to find something that you like in the last as a possible double opportunity. The 9 Disruptor for me. Acacia?
I think Disruptor is going to be hard to get around in here, and I agree. This is an ideal starting point for a horse like that. But a horse that began his career at Tampa is right outside of him, and that's the 10 Little Thunder. And he got a gaudy Beyer speed figure for that debut win of an 86, as he had the rail post position, and he is quite a big horse. Debuted at the very end of his 3-year-old season, just under the line, and was worth the wait when he went right to the front and gradually moved on to the lead. He did lean out a little bit in the stretch, and that margin was shortening slightly, but he ran fast and he ran hard throughout that race. And like I said, he's got a lot of size to him. So the fact that he was able to do that first time out, I do respect quite a bit. And I always take an extra look at the Tim Ham horses, particularly down here at Tampa. So you see he's winning at 24% right now. This guy looks great, and he stacks up really nicely. Does have to face winners for the first time and potentially face a horse that has quite a bit of class bringing to the party in here to his inside, but I did like what I saw from him first time out. And again, that was quite a fast race. The number 3 P4 is a horse they saw here last winter. And he was one that I just really thought shorter the better for him. So I understand that maybe 7/8's not necessarily the most ideal. He's so compact, he's so round. But that being said, he looks spectacular. He really has developed from 3 to 4 for trainer Mike Yates at a big price. Maybe underneath with some of the others in here, a horse that I thought really has taken a jump forward this year, Greg.
Excited to see what Disruptor could do back off the bench. First 2 starts away from that race where he went to the bench, he was very quick early. And the horse outside of him, the 10 Little Thunder, was very quick in his debut as well.
Got to respect a horse that runs as well as Little Thunder did on debut, Maggie. I mean, 7/8 is not an easy debut distance.
And, too, he got even a little bit green through the stretch in that debut and was able to hold off all challengers resolutely. I think he possibly could even move up from that.
Jason Beam with the call. Disruptor back for the first time since last year's Grade 1 Florida Derby.
Clear second choice. In fact, everybody else is double digits beyond the 9 and 10. 10 to 1 or higher. Little Thunder now in. It's waiting on Homer Jones to the outside. Homer Jones going in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Disruptor away a little bit slowly there. Good start for Just Relax, who goes out to the early advantage. Vinsanity, Little Thunder is close up early on, along with Homer Jones out wide, and P4 down to the inside. Those are the top 5, and they're only separated by a length here in the early going. Doroteo was away in 6th. Jade's Jade, that one's inside 7th. Empire Sky advances on the inside 8th. Disruptor starting to move up in 9th, only about 5 or 6 off the top. After that comes Swaggish. It's 2 more then. Back to Air Invasion, who's the trailer, but the 11 of them only separated by about 8 lengths. As they go up the backstretch, they sort themselves out up top, 22.65, and that's right into the teeth of this potent wind. Vinsanity, 3/4 of a length in front of Little Thunder, who's well positioned on the outside in second. Disruptor is now up to 3rd, so the favorites are 2nd and 3rd here as they're going into the turn past the 3/8. Doroteo's back in 4th. Pushed along there is Homer Jones in 5th. Down at the inside, P4. Starting to launch from the back is Air Invasion, who's out about 4 wide, is running into the 5th spot right now and is gaining on these leaders. Little Thunder makes the front now. Down on the inside, Vinsanity. Out wide, Disruptor. So the favorites coming up to the lead now as they come around to the top of the lane. Little Thunder, Disruptor. Battling on is Vinsanity behind horses. Air Invasion continues that prolonged big down the outside, but Disruptor and Rajiv Mirage hit the front. Little Thunder battling on from second at late run from Swaggish down the outside. Disruptor going to go on to win it here at 4 to 5. Won it by 3 going away in the end. Little Thunder ran well in the second spot. After that was Empire Sky and Swaggish.
Off the bench, bit of a trip in the comeback, but overcomes it. Disruptor back to the winner's circle.
Probably a little further back, Maggie, than I think any of us anticipated, but he was always traveling well, was caught wide through the entirety of the turn and kind of had to make a long, sustained type of run, but he was just best, and what a nice comeback.
And you could see as Little Thunder kind of drifted him out through the stretch, but kind of once he switched to that outside lead, the stride just got bigger. It was bigger than everybody else's through the stretch. So promising return to the races, probably one of the easier fields that he has faced, though the second place finisher, nice horse in his own right, but good to see him do that.
Pretty good time, too. 1:22 and 4 for the return off the bench.
Racehorse time, and this is what you want from a comeback, right? You'd like to win. Ideally, it's a starting point, but you'd like to win and get something out of it and not use too much horse. I mean, it looks like he's coming back with his legs up underneath him.
Yeah, ears up, happy with himself, as good to see Rajiv Mirage in the irons for Mike Rapoli and top lefter.
Yeah, good for Rajiv. Maybe a player in the older horse division as we move through the year. Grade 3 Endeavour fillies and mares get their turn when we come back, and Chad Brown with another major contender. Al Jafara lightly raced its debut. It was a win. It was all the way back in April. We've not seen her since, and now a big test ahead. Back with you. Gasper's getting a lot of airtime today.
Yes.
On America's Day at the Races here on Fox Sports 2. You can play it all at Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime.
So is that live?
Well, he's definitely got a turf foot, Maggie. He's longer,
yeah.
slacker pasterns.
Yeah, give us the physical report, Maggie.
I think I'll need a start or two off the bench.
He does look a little.
He's got some good conditioning.
Rajiv Mirage, our former colleague at Saratoga, in the irons, and a comeback win for Disruptor for trainer Todd Pletcher, Rapoli Stable. Let's go to Acacia.
Yeah, I asked Raj for an interview, and he said, oh, you want me to interview you? So he's ready to take the mic back. But Raj, a nice win here with Disruptor. Kind of had to make that long, sustained run with him, though, but he was there for you.
Yeah, he's ultra-talented horse, and he didn't get away as good as we hoped for, but the long run down the backstretch was great for him to get into a rhythm. Once he did, he was just always traveling handy for me.
Has to be a really nice feeling with a horse like that. Obviously, I know you knew that he had class and you're wearing those silks, so some big things expected, but has to be really rewarding when they actually go out.
For the connections, it's had to be validating for them. You know, this horse has shown so much potential, and this is such a great starting point for him, you know, as a seasonal debut, and it's a very exciting horse, and I'm glad to be a part of it today.
Well, we're glad to see you there, too. And in the next race, in the Endeavour, you're riding Love You Anyway, who you actually rode at Tampa last year for Rusty Arnold, too. What's the game plan with her?
Well, you know, this race, there isn't a lot of early speed. And she has enough tactical speed where she should be able to put me up close. I think if we're close to the pace, it's going to be an advantage for us. So I want to come out forwardly and just kind of let the race unfold, but I expect to be close to the front end.
All right, well, we look forward to it. Congratulations, though, Raj. Great to see you in the winner's circle.
Thank you, and I hope you're interviewing me again after this race.
There you go, Greg. Bet on it.
We will see. Big improvement from Love You Anyway last time out for the Rusty Arnold barn. Enjoy this one, though. Disruptor, maybe some big things ahead.
And it's nice to see Rajiv get an opportunity like this on a horse for high-profile connections. He used to ride for Todd. Nice to see him making a little inroads back in there.
I gotta say, he can still finish on one, too. I mean, getting low for the dough. Our man Raj, we miss him up on set, but it's good to see him winning races as he is at Tampa today.
Grade 3 Endeavour, fillies and mares on the lawn at a mile and a 16th. And as you heard from Rajiv, he'll be on Love You Anyway, the 9 in here, who was forward last start, wound up second in the Grade 3 Pebbles. But no question, the one to beat is Aussie Girl. No way we see 9-2 in post time.
The board looks strange right now. I mean, Candy Quest at 6-1. I agree, Greg. This board will obviously change. They just can't get enough, though, of Chad Brown. Because as Andy said, Mig, before he left, you know, if this horse was trained by anybody else, she'd probably be 12-1. Because it's a layoff.
He said 20.
I stand corrected. But look, she ran a fairly slow race when she won at Keeneland, and now she's been gone since April. What do we have to go on to take a short price on her? Nothing.
Well, again, the connections, right? That's what's grabbing people's attention.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Way over bet right now.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens if that price changes quite a bit, but just that name brand with that barn going to take a lot of attention. Turf Paradise, we have more action coming up from out in the desert. Jim McMahon, that classic to be run later on this afternoon. Former Super Bowl winning quarterback, taking in the sights at Turf Paradise. Stay with us.
You bet with Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Download the Naira Bets app to play today and get a $200 deposit bonus. Watch live horse racing. Get expert picks. Boost your bankroll with weekly promotions and hone your handicapping skills with exclusive tips and tutorials. Download the Naira Bets app now. Sign up now to claim your $200 deposit match bonus. You bet with Naira Bets.
They're coming down for the finish, and it is Silver State.
10-25, 10-25, and 25-35, 335,000.
Grade 1 winner Silver State, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Witness history.
Sandman is getting a little bit closer with Hypnos.
Greatness.
Here comes Cole Battle and Juan Vargas rolling towards the lead.
And legends in the making.
Cole Battle, the story continues. Cole Battle does it.
Sunday, March 1st at the 2026 Rebel Stakes. Watch champions rise on the road to the Kentucky Derby and compete for a $1 million purse. It's all happening just a short drive away at Oaklawn Hot Springs. Plan your stay today and come join the fun.
Tuppen is there second. Lexi Lou moves up on the outside. Now to challenge and photo call. Now they straighten away and they sprint to the wire. Tuppen now strikes to the lead. Toward the rail, Lovely Lowry, and there she goes. Tuppen, the Breeders' Cup champion, makes her 2016 debut a winning one.
A truly special competitor, the great Tuppen, winning the 2016 Endeavour Stakes.
She was so good, so consistent, and then taking her show on the road, going to England and winning at Royal Ascot.
She's one of the only horses of the modern era to be able to do that as an older horse. To beat them at their own game, going a straight mile, it's a sensational achievement, and she should be celebrated as she is.
Hall of Famer, well-deserved. Beat the boys, and yeah, the Queen Anne victory at Royal Ascot. One of several outstanding names that won this Endeavour as we're approaching the 15-minute mark to post. And take a look at the current odds. Al Jafara.
Did you catch that was Norm Cassie in the Top Hat and Tails?
Looked good.
He did look good.
Yeah.
He looked like he belonged.
Yep.
Al Jafar 2-1. Aussie girl, though, are we all in agreement? The much deserving one to beat?
Oh, I think so.
Yes.
You got to get past that, last race where she was eased but had trouble. But she consistently runs good enough to win here.
She does, but I don't know. I thought, and I just wish I had a magic, a magic ball to tell me, a crystal ball, how she's going to be ridden.
Right.
I'd love to know, because it feels like Connections are dead set on the fact that she's better with a target. But if she were mine, and she is the fastest horse on time forward pace figures, I would just go with her.
My philosophy on riding for years, you have certain principles. And one of them was never take anything away that comes easy. If a horse puts you there without having to ask them to be there, why would you take it away from them?
This is wild. In both the double and pick 3. Al Jafara is favored.
Stop.
So she likely will be the favorite at post time, according to that, which is a pretty good indicator, despite not just a light race record, all of her starts just nowhere in the ballpark of some of these other runners. We'll see if she steps forward. She has every right to do so with this barn.
Meg, visually, I like this effort.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it was slower. It was slower than the main horses that she has to beat considerably.
Yes, and listen, she made some mistakes in her North American debut. She didn't break particularly sharp. Maybe she can take a step forward, but she's going to need to take a step forward.
Well, too, from a dynamic standpoint, I don't think they're, reinventing the wheel here. I know sometimes they'll get a little quicker leaving the gate with more starts and experiences in America, but she was just loping along at the back. She does not have any early speed.
No, she doesn't have speed. I mean, she broke her maiden going a mile and a furlong on soft ground in France. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. Again, she can improve. She needs to improve.
All right, we'll get back to the Grade 3 Endeavour in a moment. We return to Turf Paradise, post-parade, race 4. In this allowance optional claiming 6 furlong sprint for fillies and mares 4 and up. And we start with Diamante Elegante.
Yeah, should be tactical, should be forward, taking money from the rail.
Next door, Go-Go Sadie, a 5-time winner.
Wired by a familiar foe in here last time out by Pepper Mill. Hasn't been able to turn the tables on that one.
6-year-old mare, Dad's Estrella.
hoping that there's good pace on. She's closing type, and she's going to need pace to take advantage of her style.
First or second in 17 of 32 starts, 9 wins. Here is even money favorite Peppermill.
This is the type of horse that this game is built upon. These consistent runners that show up and do their thing every day as she comes out of a overnight stakes race where she finished 4th.
And then Arizona Reina. This is a speedster outside.
Yeah, adding speed to the affair. She hasn't been able to handle the likes of Peppermill previously, but she does have a say in how this race will be run because she is fast.
JK, is it all about Peppermill here in the 4th?
I think it is. If you look at her race 2 back, it's pretty simple. She ran really fast. What was the difference between her race 2 back and her race last time? She didn't have Lasix. She has Lasix today. She's drawn well. She's just got numbers that could blow this field away if she shows up and runs those, especially the race 2 back. I think she will get back to that race 2 back based on the fact that she is adding Lasix, and I think she'll be tough to beat in here. She's drawn well. She's tactical enough. I tried to get cute and creative somewhere else, but then I started feeling kind of dirty.
Peppermill, short price. Look, she's the thing, too. She's just ultra consistent.
You got to love the consistency. I think Maggie said it just right. We like our horses the way we like our people, honest and hardworking. They show up, bring their lunch pail, and go to work.
And as she's earned that $280,000 the hard way. With 32 lifetime starts, but as you pointed out, Greg, the consistency in the win column and in the exact and in place and show columns is there as well. So she has speed, but she can also win from, I'd say, off of it. Though you look at her wins, and most of them are when she has the early lead.
And look, she has that resume. She's the deserving favorite 3-5 right now. She's 6 years old. You have someone like the One who just made her 4-year-old debut with some upside to come. And she just ran probably the best race of her life, even though it was in defeat.
I didn't love the fact that it was a 3-horse blanket photo for 2nd through 4th position. But like you said, it was a step up from a figure standpoint. And, to Jonathan's point, when it comes to Peppermill, Diamante Elegante was running without Lasix that day. Now she gets to go back on Lasix. So maybe with that first start as a 4-year-old with the additional Lasix, I see where you're going, Greg.
But could it be possible that she was better without Lasix? So some horses
that's true
have negative reactions to Lasix, and that was her best race by far last time without it. I'd be more comfortable with her if they chose to race her without it again.
Yeah, and she had run well, going back to her early 3-year-old season without it too. But it wasn't a standout performance.
Right.
She's the 3-1 second choice on the board. We have both Tampa and Turf Paradise there on your screen. Tampa Bay, right-hand side. So we get set for this Grade 3 Endeavour, which will close things out on the card, obviously, in the pick 5, but just surprising to see that it likely is going to be Al Jafara, who is your favorite. Favorite in both the double and pick 3.
I watched some of her workouts coming back on First TV. Look, they're on the dirt at Payson, and she really just looks like a turf horse working on dirt. It's fairly uninspiring. So it's not like she's lighting the world on fire in her morning preparations for this. But obviously Chad must have liked her, as she was pointing to the Belmont Oaks before encountering some bone bruising and therefore the subsequent layoff. I don't know. I'll be surprised if she wins here at a short price. It felt like there were so many more things going on.
Now more on Al Jafara. Let's go back to Acacia.
I completely agree with what Maggie just said about her workouts and what she's been doing coming in here. It is funny, if you go back a ways, as I touched on earlier in the show, you can actually see on First TV that Al Jafara had worked in company with Excellent Truth back in the spring, a horse who would become a Grade 1 winner. And obviously this horse Yes, Chad had said always trained like a stakes horse, and they thought that instead of trying to get an allowance to fill or hoping for a spot, put her in an ambitious place like this. Coming back now, we'll see if she gets out of the gate a bit better than she did back in April in that allowance win. Not uncommon for European horses to break slowly in their U.S. debuts, and she is pretty small and angular. Also not uncommon for a European type of horse, that there's just not going to be much of them. But I will say, she does look strong. She's just not the biggest, not the most imposing type, but she does look very fit coming back here. She's absolutely turf horse. And one thing I will say too is that her lone win in France was on a soft turf course, and it was listed as good at Keeneland that day. Now there has been a little bit of rain and it is a bit overcast here, but the turf course at Tampa is still more firm than maybe what she has been running on lately. Maybe she has one too that has an affinity for ground with a little bit of a cut in it. The number 5, Aussie Girl. She did not have an easy time of it last time out, in that there was a horse who was really rank and hard to handle into the first turn next to her, bumped into her, causing her to really kind of bolt, and then she was pulled up and eased after that. She is a handful prior to her races, but she is outfitted with a full cheek ring bit to give her rider a bit more control, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. Post time. Meanwhile, coming up at Turf Paradise as we get you back out west. 1-2 now on Peppermill, dropping out of that stake last start at Sunland. There she is stepping in. 6-year-old mare looking for the 10th win of her career. Let's go to Vic Stauffer.
They're at the post. They're off. Peppermill caught a flyer. She outbroke him 3 lengths. Diamante Elegante in second, then Arizona Reina. Go-Go Sadie is between horses, and so is Dad's Estrella. And now there's 3 across the track. Dad's Estrella between horses to the outside and Peppermill. And here's Peppermill to now put her head back in front. Diamante Elegante is second. Now Arizona Reina is a tracking third with Go-Go Sadie fourth and about 3.5 off the lead. And now Dad's Estrella has dropped out last. She's 7 from the front-running favorite, and her name is Peppermill. Peppermill now in charge towards the quarter pole. Kim and McGregor lets out a notch, and she leads by a full length and a half to Diamante Elegante in second. Here's into a joint second. Peppermill is well to the center of the racetrack, and she leads by a length and a half. Diamante Elegante and Go-Go Sadie. Go-Go Sadie is now back to third, and Peppermill is strutting her stuff now, and she is gone. She's just showing off now. Peppermill is 6 in front. Go-Go Sadie, Diamante Elegante, Peppermill. Yes. Peppermill won by 7 lengths. Go-Go Sadie was second. Diamante Elegante third. Dad's Estrella finished fourth.
Just plain too good for this field. Peppermill with the 10th win of her career.
Racehorse time, Maggie. 108-2 for the 6 furlongs, and she doesn't even look like she's digging in. Like she's got a very kind of light way of going on her feet. She's not like digging in deep.
She skips.
Right.
There's no wasted action, and she's going to win by 7 while the jock is taking a hold of her at the end. So she was just so much better than this field.
Post-parade back at Tampa for the Grade 3 Endeavour. We start with Candy Quest for Marcassi.
Red hot Marcassi barn. I think this mare is a major player from the inside, and we know Sonny Leon not afraid to save ground.
Group 3 winner in Woodbine, Dreaming of ABBA, which Maggie does nightly.
Not. I do not. I'm not a disco fan. Sorry, Greg. But she sat the right trip to get the win. She's in deep here.
Scythian started her career very promising for Bill Mott.
Yeah, listen, she's consistent. She tries. Feels like she's going to have to run a touch faster than we've seen previous, but maybe she'll improve.
Has not quite yet gone on with it since that impressive early days. Al Jafara still favored. Chad Brown.
The undeserving favorite in here, but when Chad Brown says he likes one, well, so does the rest of the world.
It's incredible to get 7-2 on Aussie Girl.
Yeah, she's a major player here. I guess people are going to be scared off by that ease line, but she did get bothered.
Madam Mischief here for Jorge Delgado.
She is turning back in distance. We'll see if that helps her. I thought, going 2 back, she moved a little too early in that Mount of 16.
Last time on the turf, it was a win for Charlie's Wish at Gulfstream.
Was sitting a perfect trip, but has run numbers that make her a fringe player here.
Can Rajiv go back-to-back? Mirage on Love You Anyway.
Well, we know Rajiv's always prepared, and he talked about the pace in the race, so he's aware that he wants to be forward.
Got some speed next door as well, and Starship Impulsive.
Yeah, I wonder how aggressive they are. Jesus Castanon riding this filly for Anthony Ferrara off the bench.
And here's a player outside, public defender for Chaffee Joseph Jr.
I think she's a major player. She's versatile. She can lay close. She can come from off the pace to go quicker. If she was drawn inside, I might land there. I don't like the post.
She'd won 4 in a row last year before that streak came to an end at Keeneland. JK, give us more on public defender.
Yeah, look, I don't love the outside draw, but for a horse that takes back, makes one run, you can take back, tuck in a little bit, try to save some ground. It's not ideal, but I think that a lot of times when horses draw poorly to the outside, the price bakes that in. You're going to get an extra point or two. I remember Hit It a Bomb was a much bigger price than he should have been. We saw it in the Breeders' Cup with Stod, much better price than he should have been. Classic Empire and the Breeders' Futurity back in the day. I'm not saying that Public Defender is any of those 3 horses. I'm simply saying that an outside draw sometimes allows you to get a better price that you probably would have gotten if the horse was drawn better. This horse was on a run until she ran into until she ran into Proctor Street, who I actually liked a little bit last week. Also, Creval d'Ore, who ran second last week down at the Pegasus. I like the 11 Public Defender. The only caveat, Acacia, is I just hope this horse can tuck in and save some ground. I'm not looking for one of those wide on both turns type of trips.
Very well could be the case, JK. And the equipment that Public Defender wears might play into that as well. She has a lot on her face. I noticed watching her last race that she does wear an extension blinker where the right eye is fully covered and a shadow roll, the piece of fleece over the noseband. So she's got a lot on her face. And for a horse that is breaking to the outside, maybe it's okay because she can't see anything to her outside. There's no horses there. And it might help her to get into a little bit of a better position. But watching that race and even watching her workouts at Palmettos, where last time out she did not work with any blinkers or any equipment on, and she was getting out significantly throughout that workout. So all of that equipment in place to keep her on a straight course, but she is a type of horse that has the tendency to lean. So given where she's drawn, it's going to be up to Pablo Morales to try and get her into some ground saving position, if at all possible, as she might even take him further out. Now, wrapping up thoughts on the number 5, Aussie Girl, as I mentioned. Last time out, not her fault. She was protected in there. I thought she ran very well in the Noble Damsel 2 starts back as well. And she was a horse that day I saw in New York and thought that maybe she could even benefit from strengthening a bit. And she has done that. I know that she did not get to run her race last time out, but she has developed coming back now as a 6-year-old. Will Walden's barn has been going really well right now too. I think in many ways she is the horse to be in here. I thought the 1 Candy Quest a bit intriguing as she comes back, making her first start of her 4-year-old season. She ran in the QE2 behind Lush Lips last time out, faced Fion prior to that. She's kept some really good company, and she's a horse that I thought took some time to really kind of bring it all together. She's become much more elegant and refined as she's gotten older and with racing under her belt. I would have liked if she extended a little bit more in her solo warm-up, but she did have really good energy out there on the track, and one that I will watch with interest as she comes back after facing some very tough company last year as a 3-year-old, Greg.
Yeah, kind of sort of forgotten one on the board here, Candy Quest, from that inside post here, making the 4-year-old debut coming up for Marcassi.
Maggie, I was stuck between the 1 Candy Quest and the outside run of the 11 Public Defender, and ultimately I went to the inside with Candy Quest.
Well, how can you not? As Acacia mentioned, the equipment with number 11 Public Defender, I had noticed that she was getting out pretty badly in that Sewanee River. Flavien Prat using all his muscles to keep her glued to the rail around the turn. The horse that I'm interested in a bit is number 9 Love You Anyway. She does have that tactical speed. last time when she was here in the Pebbles, I loved Fast Market that day. So I didn't see anybody else beating her on that occasion, but I thought she ran very well. She broke forward. She controlled from the outside. She fended off all early challengers, but the winner was just best. I loved her workouts coming in here for Rusty Arnold down there at Palm Meadows. She's been working with so much energy and full of herself. I think she could be heading in the right direction now as her first start as a 4-year-old.
Al Jafara steps in, just her 4th career start for trainer Chad Brown, 2nd of the States. Graded stakes debut in the Grade 3 Endeavour. Jason Beam, the call.
To the outside draw. The Endeavour Stakes 2026. They're in the gate. And the race is on in the Endeavour Stakes. Al Jafara and Scythian bumped together a little bit shortly after the start. Dreaming of ABBA away in good order. Starship Impulsive up from the outside is forwardly minded. And Aussie Girl in between them. And Aussie Girl going to get down toward the inside and cut the corner as they come into the stretch. Leads it now almost 2 to Starship Impulsive away in 2nd. Dreaming of ABBA's 3rd. Scythian 4th to the inside. After that comes the Great Love You Anyway, who's racing along in 5th. And behind that, Al Jafara is in and amongst horses with Candy Quest toward the inside. Going to be a 4-deep trip here for Public Defender. And the 2 at the back early on are Madam Mischief and Charlie's Wish. As the 10 of them go through that first turn, Aussie Girl is the leader. It's Aussie Girl in front 3/4 of a length to a snugly held Starship Impulsive in that 2nd position. Scythian stays down toward the inside with Dreaming of ABBA right to her outside. Al Jafara is now up to 5th in the yellow colors, about 4.5 off the top after a 24-second opening quarter mile. So they're midway down the back stretch in the Endeavour. Aussie Girl 3/4 of a length. The Starship Impulsive. Another length toward the inside. Scythian Dreaming of ABBA going to be 3 deep as they run to that turn. It's a length and a half more. Back to Love You Anyway, who moves up alongside of Al Jafara. Candy Quest. Those 3 just separated by a half length, and they're about 3.5 off the top. Madam Mischief tries to sneak through toward the inside, and it's a wide journey for Public Defender as they go to the far turn. Aussie Girl still there, 49.47 seconds. They were into the wind there, but Aussie Girl now tries to kick away at the quarter pole. Opens up a length and a half. Dreaming of ABBA on the outside. Scythian down toward the rail. Starship Impulsive. Candy Quest going to swing toward the outside. Aussie Girl cuts the corner, kicks away by 2. Scythian tries to come after her with Dreaming of ABBA. Candy Quest roaring down the far outside. It's still Aussie Girl there with a 1/16 of a mile to go. Aussie Girl, Scythian, Candy Quest chasing Aussie Girl and Ben Curtis all the way in the Endeavour Stakes. Candy Quest looked to get up for 2nd over Scythian 3rd. After that was Madam Mischief, Al Jafara, and Dreaming of ABBA.
This might be one of the great overlays, at least early in the year. Aussie Girl goes off at 4-1 and heads up right here, Ben Curtis.
And as soon as you saw Ben do that, you're like, well, it's a gift. 4-1 is a gift. And I should have known that Ben would do that. He is that kind of rider.
Yep.
He sees races and he sees horses for what they are, and this is a speed horse. So I'm glad that he did that, and it proved fruitful in the end, Meg.
When she got to go so comfortable on the lead, 49-2 to the half, and looked as comfortable as she did, the school was out. Nice job by Ben Curtis and a nice effort by Aussie Girl. I believe the one Candy Quest might have got up for 2nd.
She did. She had a nice late rally through the lane. Not much noise, though, from Al Jafara.
I think we were kind of all in agreement. She was taking way too much money for what she had shown on the racetrack up to this point.
And for Aussie Girl to, I mean, win or lose, she winds up winning. Good for her. But to go off at 4-1, that was just...
That's a joke.
Ridiculous.
Way too big a price. Way too big a price.
She wins for the 6th time in her career and wins her 6-year-old debut as Will Walden continues to roll.
Doing a great job. I mean, you know, he's grown quickly, too, hasn't he? I mean, his stable.
Yeah, he's been training for 3 years, I think. And he had 200 starters last year. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, and to win at 21% with that, too.
As well. And he has that nice filly who they paid a lot of money for. Her name's completely blanking, but that is his other win at Tampa, where she ran very nicely.
4-1 win here. It's Aussie Girl, 5-1, 3-6 finish. Will Walden, Ben Curtis team up for the victory in the Grade 3 Endeavour. Back on our Saturday coverage on Fox Sports 2. You're watching America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by Hillendale. At Alapa, it's Aussie Girl in the Grade 3 Endeavour, leading every step of the way under Ben Curtis. Winter Circle lead-in brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton Kentucky Winter Mixed Sale, scheduled for February 9th in Lexington, Kentucky. Enter now at FasigTipton.com.
I think this race is just a textbook lesson in when you have a horse that's being overbet, like your favorite Al Jafaro was, that you can get a bigger price on a horse like this.
Let's go to Acacia.
You're almost as fast as your filly. Here with Ben Curtis. I know he's rushing to get out, so we'll be quick. But Ben, your filly was pretty quick today. Aussie Girl, she went to the front, and she got pretty happy out there.
She did. She pricked her ears, and you know, she can sometimes do a little bit too much, but I just kind of anchored her in front, and yeah, it was a bit of a, we had it won at the half-mile pole kind of thing, because she picked up all the way around the turn and then really quickened in the stretch, and yeah, she's thriving. Very unlucky the last day, so you know, she deserved that. She kind of got eliminated last time, and yeah, gave the owners something to celebrate today.
Absolutely. And yeah, I saw as they came around the first time, she kind of had her mouth open a little bit early, but you did get her to relax. Tell me a bit about that, as she is pretty spirited.
She is. You know, she obviously won over sprint distances in Ireland before she came over here, so that's very much in her. But if you can kind of contain that speed throughout the race, as you see, she's explosive from the quarter pole when you let her go. And, you know, she doesn't stop either. She dragged me all the way down the back. And fair play to Will. He grabbed me here when I won on Drexel Hill and said, I got this filly coming, do you want to ride her? I said, absolutely. So it all paid off, and big thanks to the owners, and obviously Will, he's flying at the moment. And yeah, she made it very easy for me.
She certainly did. And quickly, I know Will had talked about maybe wanting her to rate today. Was it just that you had no other choice, or was it how you saw the race? What was the game plan today?
Well, I didn't ask her away from the gates. I kind of broke, and there was a line of 5 of us going down to the first turn. That generally means that no one wants to be in front, and I just took the initiative. Listen, I looked at her form. She looked the best in the race, to my eyes. So sometimes if you're on the best and you can get them to do it the right way, keep it simple. And you know, I think she will be able to be held up in time. I think when she gets behind them, she'll relax. But today, that was the way to do it.
Certainly was. Well done. Congratulations.
Brilliant. Thank you, Donald. Cheers.
Greg?
Mig, I know a man after your own heart. You're on the best horse in the race.
Love
you
that.
have speed. Yeah. Why mess around?
Yeah, don't get cute. Don't try to be fancy. Allow your horse to do things. And I love what he said there. When you've got 5 horses lined up together, nobody really showing that initiative, nobody wants to lead.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll take it. I mean, I love that he took the bull by the horns.
Yeah, he is such an adaptive, but also perceptive rider. And it's really good to see him getting these types of mounts because he knows what to do with a good horse.
Absolutely. Well, who was that nice horse for the 3-year-old for Asmussen this year?
Magnitude.
Magnitude. I was going
Yeah.
to say Magnetize. Magnitude. He
Yeah.
bounce him on a lead and run them off their feet.
Exactly.
Both these graded stakes today at Tampa, they were won on the front end.
Mhm.
Earlier, Grade 3 Tampa Bay, same situation under Julian Leperoux on Quattrocento.
Yeah.
You got it, Greg. You got it. He destroyed this field, Mig. I mean, this was a guy that was full of run, but pace makes the race. He got away with nearly 24, 48 and change, and he was able to kick home rightly. He ran very well, but he got to do it his way. And like I said before, he didn't have to chase Woofy's Dyna Ghost around there.
Right, exactly. And it looked like a spot where he could get very comfortable up on the lead. One thing about it, too, you see Julian Leperoux on the lead, he's got horse underneath him because he doesn't send him to be there.
I wish he would do it more because I actually think he is so good on the front end.
I agree. And if he's there, he didn't use his horse to get there. He's there properly.
Yeah.
2 gate-to-wire wins in these 2 graded stakes from Tampa Bay. Next week on the Triple Crown Trail with the Sam F. Davis and the Oaks with the Suncoast Pelican Minaret as well on that schedule. So this should be a great weekend from Tampa Bay.
Keisha going to be there again, right?
Yes, she
Believe
will.
so. Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Hope it gets up to at least 60 degrees.
My heart
we feel
bleeds.
for her. We're going to take a quick time out, give you our final thoughts on Triple Crown Prep. Out of Gulfstream today, Grade 3 Holy Bull, and nearly back in action for Todd Pletcher off that huge win as we turn the page to 2026. Stay with us.
Next weekend on America's Day at the Races, action begins Friday with Lafitte Pincay, Megan Burgess, and Richard Migliore live from Oaklawn Park for the Southwest, a Kentucky Derby prep. Then Saturday, the return of Eclipse Award champion 3-year-old filly Nitrogen, scheduled to start in Oaklawn's Bayakoa. And join Acacia Clement live from Tampa Bay Downs for the Sam F. Davis, another exciting Derby prep. A huge weekend of racing begins Friday, 3 Eastern on FS2.
New York breds. Race them.
Respect them.
Bet them.
Respect them.
Breed them.
Respect them.
650-75. Buy them.
Respect them.
75. Now 700. Train them for a second career.
Respect them.
Join us in respecting thoroughbreds at every stage of life. Learn more at nybreds.com.
This winter, give the gift of racing with Naira Bets gift cards. Share your passion with friends and family or instantly fund your account. Choose the amount and redeem online. Find gift cards under the promotions tab at NairaBets.com. Now's the time to subscribe to the Naira Bets YouTube channel. Join Matthew DeSantis and Kaylee Shapiro for stakes previews, in-depth analysis, and handicapping strategy and tutorials. Subscribe to and like Naira Bets on YouTube.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you on our Saturday coverage here on America's Day at the Races. Take advantage. Get 10 times loyalty points at Gulfstream Park today. 10 times points for every $1 you bet. You do have to opt in to take advantage at NairaBets.com. Speaking of Gulfstream, big one later today on the road to that first Saturday in May. Grade 3 Holy Bull, race 12 at a mile and a 16th, and nearly looked pretty darn good in his first try against winners. He's now won back-to-back starts for Todd Pletcher.
Really impressive, Maggie. His first start left something to be desired. He did have a little bit of trouble, but he really didn't have a lot of run. And his next 2 starts were just in another stratosphere.
And I know it was only 3 other rivals last time out, Mig, but he got obliterated at the start of the race and just launched this wide bid and strode away from this field, really indicating that the step out in distance is going to be to his liking. This is a colt, not this time, and they just seem to win left, right, and center.
It's remarkable. That sire is just unstoppable. So this happens later today. Cannoneer, his main competition for Brad Cox, whose second start put it all together.
I know this race scratched down, but I'm really looking forward to these 2 meeting because, like you said, Greg, he really put it together. And Mig, I know our feed isn't the greatest here, but if you can, watch it. I love the way this horse travels. He really kicks away from this field quite nicely. Now, for me, I'm not as convinced that going longer is going to be his, best. I feel like Nearly is really going to thrive with more distance, but I can see him winning / being very competitive at this Holy Bull distance of a mile and a 16th.
Yeah, mile and a 16th at Gulfstream.
Exactly.
It's not really where distance is going to challenge
but you got to think about the Derby at this point, right?
Sure. Again, what we're planning to see going forward.
Right.
Looking forward to that showdown. Meanwhile, rescheduled for here in New York on the road to that first Saturday in May. Withers will happen next week. And the field has just come out. Grittiness, Schoolyard Superman, Autino, Star Sweeper, Mulata, Talk to Me, Jimmy, 4th and 1.
Yeah, and it'll be nice to get that Derby prep in here. Obviously, weather has just been wreaking havoc with our scheduling. here on the East Coast, but it's kind of been one of those winters so far, Maggie. I think it's toughest winter we've had in a long while.
Yeah, as I said to Greg, it feels like that every 10 years spell. We get a couple winters where it's full on.
Yeah.
And it has been this year. So trying times here for our grounds crew, our riders, our trainers, especially trying to adapt to these situations to have horses at their peak fitness levels.
So we got, as you can see, a very busy week on the schedule for that road to the first Saturday of May next week with the Southwest. Withers, Sam F. Davis, and out west, the Robert Lewis.
Yeah, and it heats up quick, doesn't it, right?
It does.
We turn the page for the new year, and immediately it's the Triple Crown Trail.
I know, and it gets so exciting at this time of year. And I like that we're actually, we had to reschedule. That is not great, but to have those two on Friday is kind of like a nice separation, you know?
I like
They
that.
get their own feature.
Southwest Grade 3 had to be postponed a week, and I guess one of the biggest question marks in here, Decode, is he for real off that incredible debut?
I think he's for real, but I think he's a for real sprinter.
We will
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
That's the impression
Stretching
I
out.
got.
Meanwhile, Strategic Risk, winner of the Smarty Jones, will try and put together his third win in a row.
What can you say? Florida breds, Meg, I mean, he should be the horse that's respected. He's the horse that won the prep for the Southwest and this Smarty Jones, and definitely has a nice stride on him to suggest that he's going to be A-okay with these classic type distances. He's interesting.
He's interesting. He does face, I think, a different type of scenario
Yes.
where he got to just set up shop, laying second in the clear. There's a little more pace signed on. I think we'll learn a little bit more about his grit, his determination this time, because I don't think he can expect to get as soft a trip as he got last time.
No, I mean, that's very true. But you also can't deny the fact that the Cassie barn and what they've done
White hot.
at Oaklawn for that holiday meet. Now we're into the traditional classic meet. But if they keep things rolling, they're a force to be reckoned with.
48%
Same.
win in the win column. And I'm sure that Mark is very, very happy that those standings carry over. It's not two distinct meets.
That's right.
They broke it up, but for the standings, so I'm sure he's thrilled.
Two going to show up for Bob Afford as well. Butane and then Litmus Test, who was impressive in that Los Al Futurity.
I could not agree more, Greg. I'm really excited to see that horse come and bring a show on the road.
That is coming up on Friday at 2, Friday Kentucky Derby Preps next week. Our next show actually is Thursday, Fox Sports 2. That happens at 3 Eastern. We will see you then. Thanks for being with us on this Saturday afternoon. Hope you enjoyed our coverage from Tampa. Well done, Acacia Clement. It was Quattrocento leading every step of the way under Julian Leperoux for the victory. In the Tampa Bay, in a closeout action, it was Aussie girl in the Endeavour, Ben Curtis. Aggressive, puts her on the lead, and she leads every step of the way for the win. We'll see you Thursday.